And she starts to run down the street. I'm like, give me your phone. I'm going to delete this thing and you can go. She starts running down the street and I'm chasing her. I'm naked. She's screaming. This is nighttime. She's screaming.
Like what time? Like what? I'm just trying to paint the picture for the audience. You live in a nice neighborhood.
Yes.
This woman is running down the street in high heels.
Yeah.
Screaming, help, with the phone, just running.
I'm butt naked.
And you're just raw chasing her down.
As she hears
how tall is she? Like, you're obviously, we've said
5'5".
Okay, average normal size.
Average normal size.
Yeah.
And so I'm running her down, and as I'm running her down, she could hear me coming. She's like trying to look, and and she ends up falling. And so she scrapes up her knee, she scrapes up her elbow.
Sorry, I'm trying to picture this, bro.
She takes her phone and she turtles it, and she's trying to hold it. And so I literally like reached my hand underneath her arms and I picked her up just enough to like lift her arms, and I grabbed her phone.
And she's screaming,
help,
rape, help. Yeah.
Screaming for help. And
or the neighbor's like, oh, there goes Greg again. Or what are they doing? like what are they doing?
Different house.
There's
a different house.
Got it.
So I'd moved since then.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is the End-to-End Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Yun Win, also known as the Prolific Ninja or just Ninja. This is the End-to-End Podcast, the Alpha to the Omega, the beginning to the end, talking about life, motivation, entrepreneurship, inspiration, success, and offering you morsels in this all-you-can-eat buffet called life. We are back in the studios in Houston, Texas at the Bohemian Studios. Excited to be here, and boy, I got a great show for you on tap. Before we get into that, if you've listened or liked any of the prior episodes, please like, comment, share, follow, subscribe to the podcast. That's the only way we can grow our audience organically. Thank you for all the supporters so far. But today's show is awesome. Public service announcement, though. If you have not heard episode 26, listen to that one first, or else you will not get the context of this amazing show, because this one is part 2 of my amazing interview with 11-year Army veteran, 2-time bronze medalist, award-winning recipient from the military, co-founder and president of Delta Financial, a financial services firm in Dallas, which in its first 6 months grew to over 8 figures in top-line revenue. My guy, Captain America himself, and for those of you just listening and not watching, this dude, 6'7", 255 of raw muscle mass. Like, I don't know if he's the Incredible Hulk or Captain America, or maybe they both came together and have some kind of offspring, but whatever. My guy, Captain Greg Birch, man. Welcome back to the show, bro. Glad to have you back. You know, for my audience, our last show, if you haven't watched it, go to episode 26, but man, I thought we were going to be in and out in a couple hours. We were 3 hours in and not even halfway through this guy's amazing story, bro. We lost track of time. It was that good, and I hope you, those of you who listened to it, felt it was amazing, because as a podcaster and interviewer, man, it was awesome. The life story to that far was amazing, man, and I appreciate you coming back into town. This guy's from Dallas, so he flew in specifically to be on the show, man. I appreciate the time and investment in that, man. Glad to see you again.
Man, it's my pleasure to be a part of this. I just want to say I'm humbled and honored for you actually having me on the show. You know, it really does mean a lot. I love sharing my story with people, because hopefully somebody can pick up something and find some commonality and say, you know what, which I'm not special. Like, there's nothing special about me. I just, you know, I happen to overcome some things just through some hard work. And if I can do it, literally anybody can do it. So if somebody can glean anything from all of the fuck ups that I had in my life, then by golly, like I'm helping somebody. And that's what it's about.
That's why we do these things. And that's why, and just to remind people, Greg and I met through a mastermind called the Riveting Syndicate that was founded by Ed Milet and Andy Frisella. We both, they brilliant gentlemen. They get after it, billionaire guys. And so, you know, they have this mastermind that we've met, but that's how we find, you know, people with common interests and people that understand that even if we inspire somebody just a little bit through our story, like how that propagates and perpetuates out into the universe to help others, man. That's awesome. And
Absolutely.
you know, as my audience knows, you know, part of my motivation to do this podcast, you know, essentially for free on my own money, is to try to inspire people. Our goal is to reach, you know, billions of people around this planet and inspire them in a positive way. So my audience, thank you for being a part of that. And Greg, thank you for being a part of that, man.
Absolutely. And I just want to add on what you're saying right here is that with Ninja doing this out of his own pocket, the best thing that you can do as a listener, the best support that you can give is to share this content, share it on your socials, share it to other people, do it through word of mouth. That is absolutely the best thing that you can do for Ninja, because he's really trying to just provide value to all of you and help all of you in your lives and in your business. And the least that you could do is share the content.
Appreciate it, man. Give forward to get back more, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's right. So let's remind the audience where we were when we left off, and I had to take you back to the airport.
Yeah.
Here we are. Talked about your 11-year military career, 2-time tour in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yep.
Literally had a grenade thrown at your feet that you saved your whole crew and Iraqi soldiers by just reflexively throwing it out of the way and watching it explode. Talking about how, you know, your journey to that point and then coming back and, you know, issues with your wife, now your ex-wife, and just going through life stuff.
Yeah.
And we left off, let me paint the scene for the audience. You're with a girlfriend at the time.
She was my fiance.
Fiance at the time.
She was my fiance at the time.
In a house, her 11-year-old daughter.
No, her daughter was 2, almost 3.
2. I'm sorry, 2-year-old daughter. I'm thinking of current life versus back then.
Yeah.
So 2-year-old daughter. You go to a bar and get trashed.
It should have been a bar. It's actually my house.
Oh, damn. I'm getting this all wrong, bro. My bad. It's been that long. Okay. But I know you got trashed.
Yeah, I got trashed.
So you get trashed. You end up with a gun to your head.
Yeah.
Screaming at this ex-fiance.
Yeah.
Is this what you want? While the daughter is there just screaming away.
Yeah. She's screaming. It was just,
it's just
pandemonium.
A pandemonium. You've reached essentially the rock bottom.
Yeah.
The rock bottom. Cops come. You're in the front yard, you know, on your knees, hands behind your head. The officer sees all your military credentials, your awards and all that, and says, bro, you need to get some help.
Yeah.
So that is rock. That's like, if there was a rock bottom, that's rock bottom, man.
It was pretty bad. It's
got to be bad if you have a gun to your head.
Yeah. It was really bad, actually.
Yeah. Now, looking back, was that more of a, because you said what triggered that, no pun intended.
Yeah.
No pun intended, sorry, bro. But what triggered that was your wife, you threatened your ex-fiance that you were going to slit your wrists. And she says, why don't you just go ahead and be done with it? And then that triggered everything. Yeah?
I'd shown her a text message from that I started to send to my mom. Because, you know, like an iMessage, you start to send a message and then you get out of the app and then you go back to that specific person's contact. You go send a message. It's still there.
Yes.
I had not sent it. And I basically had wrote out a message to my mom that was like, I'm sorry. Just know I love you. I'm sorry if this hurts you. Like,
this was the send off message.
This was like the send off message.
Oh, wow, bro.
And I was just like, you know, I love you. You always, you know, you taught me well. And I just can't do this anymore. Like, I just can't live like this anymore.
Wow.
And I didn't send it. And I toyed. And I was like really about to send it. And I just didn't send it. And when I got ready, I was like, well, gotta go to work. I'm trying to fill my mind with other things to like stay occupied so I don't continue to spiral downward.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I got an appointment today. Well, maybe I'll go sell. Like, we'll see.
Yeah.
And I'm hammered. And so when I went upstairs and she tries to talk to me, I'm thinking, in my mind, I have to express to her how much this is hurting me. And so I'm going to show her this message and explain to her, this is how I feel because I have abandonment issues and I got this PTSD and this anxiety and all this stuff. It's unaddressed.
Like it's just stuffed away inside.
Yeah. And I'm showing her this message and she just looks at it. She just deadpan, you know? I laugh about it now, but it was not funny at the
funny.
time.
Yeah.
But she looked at it and she's just like, well, why don't you just go slit your wrists already then? Like,
kind of nonchalant,
just
blowing it off,
nonchalant, just like
I don't give
super
a shit.
sarcastic. And that was the moment. That was just like,
boom.
Nobody loves me.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Yeah.
I can go.
Wow, bro.
Now's the time.
Wow, bro. And so, police come.
Yeah.
And like sort of what in the immediate aftermath and kind of after that, just
so nothing had happened, right?
Right.
So the cops came, they talked to me, and they basically took me to an inpatient facility in Dallas.
Okay.
For a psychiatric ward. And so they dropped me off at the psychiatric ward, and I go into a waiting room. And this is probably 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, right? So I sit in the waiting room, and I'm still like pretty buzzed. Like, even though my adrenaline's been pumping, so like a lot of my the alcohol like been burned out of my system, but I'm still a little buzzed. And I sit in the waiting room, and then they get us access to a phone. And so there's one phone, and there's maybe 3 other people in the waiting room, and they're waiting for me to get in processed and get a bed available for me. And I ended up calling. I tried to call my ex-fiance. I tried to call her. She wouldn't answer. She wouldn't take my call. So then I called my mom, tell her what's going on, because I'm sure that by now she's probably heard.
Yeah.
So I tell her what happened, and my mom's livid. My mom's pissed.
She's pissed at the situation or pissed at you?
Pissed at the situation.
Okay.
She's pissed at the situation, and she doesn't like my fiance at all, by the way. She hates her.
She hates her.
So
can understand.
So I ended up calling my sister, Barbara, my oldest sister, and tell her what happened. And she's like, I'm coming there. Like, she lives in Tennessee. So she starts driving to Dallas.
6-hour drive, something like that, I guess. I don't know.
12 hour
okay.
drive. So it takes her like 2 days.
Got it.
Because she stops midway. So, while I'm there, I get a call from my ex-wife. My ex-wife heard about it.
Wow.
My ex-wife heard about it.
Okay.
Because my ex-fiance called her and told her about it.
So,
they were like besties, right?
Yeah. So to remind everybody from the first show, she's the one that cheated on you while you were deployed. Then I cheated. Then you cheated on her as a way to get back.
Yep.
And then you have 2 kids with her.
4 kids. We have 4 kids together.
4 kids by her.
Yeah.
And she's off.
She's remarried.
She's
remarried. She's got 2 more kids.
Okay.
So she's got 6 total.
Okay. And then she calls you in this.
She calls me while I'm there.
Facility.
I get a notification. They're like, "Hey, Greg," and I'm like, "Yep." And like, "You got a phone call?" And I'm like, "Okay." So I go and answer, and it's her.
Wow. When was the last time you'd spoken to her before this?
So this is May timeframe. This is May 2018. I'm supposed to get the kids for my visitation in June when I get out of school.
Got it.
So she calls to tell me, I heard what happened, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm sorry. Like it's a crazy situation." And she's like, "Well, I'm just calling to tell you that I just put in an emergency order. The kids are not coming to see you, and I'm taking your custody."
Wow. Sucker.
This is a sucker
gut,
punch.
Just sucker punch right to the gut.
It was like
right to the balls.
Yeah,
bro.
right. While I'm down, by the way. While I'm down, it's like straight kick.
Wow.
And so I'm like, "Are you serious right now? This is what's going on?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm sitting here in this inpatient facility. I'm like literally in that waiting room. Yeah.
Wow, bro.
So I sat in that waiting room. For 2 nights, that night and then another night. They never got me in processed. My sister eventually got there, and they released me to her so that I could go to the VA.
Got it. So the cops sitting with you the whole time?
No.
You're just there.
Just there, and they're like, "Hey, here you go," and they dropped me off, and then they released me. So I sat in a waiting room it was like a 10 by 10 with 2 couches and a TV up on the wall.
What's going through your mind in this 48-hour period? Like just heard that your
life's
ex-wife
over.
is going straight up,
Like, what is going to happen with my work? Is my work going to fire me? I got to make things right with my ex-fiance, or my current fiance might be ex-fiance. you know, and now I got this other added stress of my kid's custody getting taken away from me. And I got to fight this. And it was just this storm of bullshit just going on in my head. And I was like, well, I can't do anything in here. So I just sat there and I called to some old friends and I got in touch with some old friends. I got in touch with one of my old friends she was actually an ex-girlfriend, but we were still really close, still good friends. And she knew about the situation. She was like, you need to leave that person. You need to leave her.
Yeah.
She's really bad for you. This is not you.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, I can't, like, I feel bad. I got to make this right. And she was like, that is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself. You're in a bad situation. You need to leave.
Yeah.
And she disagreed with me staying so much that she was like, I can't be friends with you. I can't talk to you.
Unless you leave.
Like it hurts me to continue to talk to you about this.
Wow. And
so I ended up getting out. And when I got out, I went home and, my ex-fiance was there. And I got on my knees and I was like, I'm sorry. I will do anything. I will do whatever you want. We'll go to counseling. I'm going to go to counseling, but I like to go to, couples counseling. And I felt it was my duty and like obligation as a man to do right by her. Right. And I was like, I haven't been all there. I've had all these issues. And so I went to VA. I actually got on disability. Mm-hmm. So I'm like 70% disability through the VA. Mm-hmm. I started getting seen for treatment, got on medication, and we started going to couples counseling. Mm-hmm. And she was like, let's make this work. Let's make this right. And that continued from May until about October, when I think it's like September, we stopped doing couples counseling because the counselor we had, they were leaving. And they were going to hand it over to another person, but they were like, hey, you guys are doing a lot better in your communication. Yeah. And you've got a lot of strategies.
You made some progress.
You made a lot of progress, and you guys know what you need to do. So you guys can continue seeing in with the new person and kind of start over a little bit. They'll read your packet, but start over and you'll learn a new person, or you can just kind of take it on with everything you've learned from me and go forward. And me ended up saying, we'll do it ourselves. No, we didn't.
No, it didn't work.
Didn't work.
Which a part of this podcast is translating those experiences so that a broader audience can understand.
Yes.
Which is, a lot of people plan for a lot of things, but it's all in the execution. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And a follow through.
Absolutely.
Right. Talking about, we're getting to be in November, New Year's resolutions and all these things, all these promises made to yourself, much less others. Mm-hmm. That if you don't carry through or execute on, essentially don't mean anything. Yeah. And you find yourself in the same spot or worse than before.
Yeah.
Right. So
I actually started in a new company in the beginning of July. It was like July 1st.
Okay.
So like
during the middle of
during all this,
recovery.
During the recovery.
Now, before you go on, at this point, do you feel in retrospect you had hit that? You're on the upswing yet?
In my mind, I feel I am.
Okay.
But I wasn't.
But you're not. Okay. Really, in reality, no.
I wasn't really in reality.
Okay.
I felt I was.
Okay. So it gets shittier.
It doesn't get shittier. I just stay there, and I it's like trying to climb out of that mud pit, and you're just like climbing in place, and you're sliding down, and you're going in place back and forth. That's what I was doing for a long time, and I thought I was making progress, and then every time I look back, I'd be like, "Man, I'm still here."
Another feeling, my man. Another feeling.
So I started a new company in like July 1st, like the beginning of July, and it's still in insurance. I started doing okay. And I was never great. I was better than most people because, and this is not meant to be like an insult, but there's a lot of people that go into insurance because it's an easy self-employed job that's got very, very little overhead. And anybody in to pass the insurance exam, a monkey can do it kind of.
Yeah, sort of.
So it's like, and the income potential is very high.
Yeah.
So it has a lot of.
If you apply yourself.
If you apply yourself.
Right.
And so a lot of people go in and literally do nothing. Like the highest percentage of people go in and do nothing, make no money. I'd say 80%.
Wow.
And so for me to be in the top 20%, That's easy.
Yeah.
That's really easy.
Yeah.
Right. But I was still at the bottom of that top 20%.
Okay.
I was making money, but not much.
Got it.
And it's causing stress with my ex-fiancés in my relationship. And I ended up getting a job. She convinces me that I should get a job.
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Clock in and clock out.
It's another sales job, but it was a salary job, clock in, clock out. Also has commission based off sales, but the sales process was super long. And as I get hired for that job, and I'm doing insurance at the same time, and I'm making a few sales here and there. As I get hired for that job, her and I start getting this fight. Essentially, she wants to become an escort. Essentially,
Bro.
I mean,
I don't mean to laugh.
It's the truth.
But
I can't make this up, bro.
Bro, you got some. I'm glad you straightened this karma out, bro.
Yeah,
because
bro.
You're getting these swings from left and right. Just when you're on the path to spiritual freedom, let's say, you get this gut punch that your ex-fiance wants to go hang around with dudes and get paid for it.
To give context, she was a stripper.
Okay.
She was a
So
stripper.
you kind of brought it on yourself,
I
man.
did bring it on myself.
Okay, got it.
I did bring it myself.
Got it.
She became a stripper.
Nothing against
after we started
ladies in that vocation, but
and I did, and honestly, I didn't judge. I didn't care.
Yeah,
It didn't bother
of course,
me
of
because
course.
she's coming home every night to me. And it was money. It was a job, and so, but she had all these guys at the bar that were like, were always offering her like, hey, I want to take you shopping. I'll pay you just to spend some time with you, but I want to take you shopping and buy you nice stuff. And she was like, I want to go do it. And I was like, that's being an escort. Like that's
they're
there's
probably expectations behind buying you this Versace handbag or whatever.
And then paying you for the time that you're hanging out the mall. Like, then they're going to go hang out at lunch, and then the lunch is going to be at the bottom of a hotel, and then before you know it, you're upstairs. So,
bro,
I know I'm not okay with
Reeve
that.
in the studio, man. He's got this look on his face.
He's
All
like,
right, bro.
what is going on? Where does the story go?
Yeah.
So I just basically was like, no, that's not okay. And that caused a big fight, right?
Of course it would.
And she basically was turned into like, well, I'm too young. I can do whatever I want, and you can't control me. And like, by the way, you did this and you did that, and going back to
just slinging arrows again. Yeah.
Yeah. And it just caused, it was a very long drawn out situation, but it caused the breakup.
Okay.
And so,
have you faced your demons that you are aware of now by that point? Have you addressed the?
Not even close.
Not okay. Keep going.
Got
it. Just want to get your mental,
I thought
bearings
I had.
at that time. Yeah.
So, her and I break up at the end of October, and I'm in this new job. I just got hired this new job, and I'm working this job, and I started dating someone literally like the next day.
Again,
started dating somebody else. Went out, dated another girl.
Immediately after the breakup, you're into somewhere else.
I was actually like Halloween. It was 4 years ago. Halloween. It was Halloween night. I went out.
Okay.
Yeah. And started dating somebody. And so
again, this whole feeling of not feeling loved. I need to have somebody to validate me.
Yep.
Who I am.
Yep.
My worth is based on somebody else's
opinions or somebody else's love and adoration towards me. Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm doing this job, and I'm dating this girl, and the girl I was pretty fucked up from my ex-fiance, from her breaking up with me, because I was like, dude, I did everything. I went to counseling. We went to couples counseling. I did everything I could, and she still like would rather be an escort than like be with me. And we were engaged, like, and it's like really messing with me. I had a very difficult time getting over that relationship, and I was trying to start this other relationship, and it got to a point. I'm just gonna tell it. Like,
nothing would surprise me at this point, bro.
I was so messed up I couldn't even have sex with her because I was like in my head.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking about the other girl, and I told her this.
Yeah.
I told this girl, and I was like, I watched the movie 40 Days and 40 Nights. And I was like, that's what I need. I need like a Lent, like my own Lent, and I need to like not have any sex, get her out of my system. And I told it to this new girl I'm dating, and she was like, I was like, can you we stay together, still connect, not sex, nothing like that. And she was like, I guess, like,
maybe,
sure, like if that's what you need. I just got to get her out of my head, right? It lasted about 20 days, but it did get out of the head. It did get out of the head.
Okay.
But
sorry, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hey man, my inspiration comes from weird places sometimes.
Yeah, that's all right though.
So
which is another lesson in life, because you never know where that inspiration is or it comes from, right? You got to expose yourself to new circumstances and opportunities, and you get inspired from, never know where.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm in this job. I'm working part-time. I'm working full-time, 9 to 5. I'm driving an hour plus to work because it's all the way 4 north. It's in Plano. I lived in Cedar Hill.
Okay.
If you know the area pretty well.
Yeah.
So I was working in Plano, and it was like an hour and 15-hour, 20-minute drive. And then it was like an hour and 45-minute drive back home because of traffic.
Traffic, yeah.
So what I was doing is I was getting leads. I was calling them during work. I would take 15, 20, 30-minute breaks. And then during lunch, I would call leads, and I would set appointments for that day in the evening. And then I would go sit with clients that were up in north in Plano, Richardson, all the way to McKinney.
Got it.
And then I would go home super late.
Yeah.
And then I would wake up super, super early, and I would do it all over again.
Wow. Okay. As this is an entrepreneurship podcast, as part of an entrepreneurship and motivation and success and all that, where are you finding this drive to basically bust your ass and do things that folks normally wouldn't even consider? A job, side gig, driving all over town, setting up appointments on your own time, doing all these things. Like, what? You're still kind of messed up in the head.
Yeah.
No offense.
Oh no, definitely.
Okay.
No
But at this baseline, you're trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Right? What was that?
It was a little bit. So this was we were getting into like November, December, so it was getting into the holidays. The job that I was getting paid salary wasn't even close. It was probably 50%. The salary was about 50% of what my monthly bills were. Coming into Christmas, it was like, I need to make something happen because I need to pay these bills. I was starting to put on my credit cards. I was maxing out, and I didn't have an option. But at the same time, I was also driven, and I've always kind of been driven this way by people telling me that I can't do something.
Yeah.
And that was how she was when she was leaving. So it was a little bit of her being like, you're a loser.
You're just a loser. You can't do shit,
you can't do
right?
anything.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm going to prove her wrong. And I'm going to prove her so fucking wrong that she's going to look back and be like, damn, I fucked up.
Yeah. See, you'd be surprised, man, because that very, very point, I have encountered many, many entrepreneurs and exceptionally successful people by any measure, money, fulfillment, life, whatever, that their main driving force was somebody told them you couldn't do something. Like even Andy Frisell, I see you wearing a 75 hard shirt, which we'll talk about, but even him, he talks about how his high school counselor was like,
yep,
you need to go to community college.
You're not cream of the crop.
You're not good enough. You're not cream of the crop. Yeah. Which pissed him off. Yeah. Exactly. Which, and for me, I've had these situations in my life as well. But to the point, though, is that one part is desperation.
Yes.
And the other part is, again, validation, but to yourself rather than someone else.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you.
I'm going to show you. You don't think I can do something?
What's that quote from Frank Sinatra? The greatest revenge is massive success.
Yes, that's correct.
And so I saw that quote like a little bit after we broke up, and I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fucking succeed so hard.
So in a way, she did you good.
Yeah, she did. She actually helped me massively because it got me out of. I was lazy with her. I was like comfortable. I was lazy. I barely worked.
Okay.
I got just enough to get by, and I wasn't pushing myself. I wasn't pushing my potential.
Yeah.
At all.
Man, so that's huge. So sometimes for the audience members, like there's a lot to unpack with that, because I know economic times are tough. Inflation right now is crazy. Bills are tough. Gas is crazy. Eggs is like 300% higher than it was before, whatever it is.
And I eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah, I've seen it. But just because economic times are hard doesn't mean you throw in the towel.
No.
And say, hey, this is what it is. I can't help myself. You've got to find a way. Entrepreneurs, successful people have to find a way.
Absolutely.
Not just for survival. I've seen this with my parents, immigrating from Vietnam after the war with zero money. Mm-hmm. You just got to find a way. They worked 2-3 jobs, side gigs, side hustles, all these things. Which is the message here is you just got to do whatever it takes.
Yes. It
is what it is. Just you got to do what it takes.
Absolutely.
Right. And then rely on yourself, believe in yourself to prove others wrong sometimes.
And that's that's a very powerful force. The naysayers, going against the naysayers and using that negativity to kind of fuel you, because it'll fuel you on the days that you're tired, on the days that feel monotonous, on the days, and I've gotten that fuel many times, and this is probably one of the biggest times that the first time it really impacted me, when I started first finding success, and I used it many times after that to get to the point where I am now.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Awesome. That's a very, very inspiring. So you're hustling ass all over Dallas, 9 to 5, plus selling insurance on the side. Still trying to fight your demons, find your demons, address your demons. Like what?
Yeah.
I'm
trying to stuff my demons down in that
even
same box.
Even further.
Just,
with just well, you know, and to a large extent, you know, using again, it's one of those things, because you can sometimes, although it may work in the short term, but not in the long term, use your distractions in a positive way to face avoiding what's really hurting you. In other words, I'm going to distract myself from facing myself and my own demons, but I'm going to use it in a positive way by distracting myself through achievement, putting in work, you know, those kind of things, versus being an alcoholic, go gambling, go to the clubs and start fight. You know, people, it's like a bifurcating point, a bridge, fork in the road, where you can distract yourself in a positive way or distract yourself in a negative way, even though you're not addressing the real issues, right, for a short period of time.
Absolutely.
Right. So how does it come about where you're actually facing your demons, or sort of, you know, understanding?
I guess the first time that it happened was I was so broken, like heartbroken over that situation. I talked to my mom a lot. My mom, like I said previously, she's a psychologist, and I was just like, this is the time, this point in time in my life, I would cry like every day in the car because I'd hear a song and I would just start bawling.
Yeah, you're driving fucking 2 hours a day, bro.
And I'm just driving, like going home from work, and I hate my life, and I'm just like bawling, and I'm like, just like, this is miserable. And I called my mom and I was telling her about it, and I was at work, and I took a break, and she was like, you know, she's like, baby, emotional trauma, any kind of emotional trauma or emotional pain, there is no bypassing it. There's no way around it. There's no way under it. There's no way over it. You have to go through it. If you try to wait to go through it, it's still going to be there, and it's still going to be just as powerful. It's okay that you're going through this. This is normal. It will get better with time. It'll always kind of be there, but it will get better with time.
Yeah. And
so I just kind of took solace in it, like, okay, I got to go through this. Like, and I'm going to learn from this.
Okay.
Which helped prepare me for future emotional trauma.
Okay.
So, you know, I had a meeting. I had it was like a late night client appointment for insurance, and I ended up selling $2,000 worth. I made $2,000 in that home, and it's like I was there for an hour.
Yeah.
And it dawned on me at that point that I've been half stepping.
Explain that. What does that mean? That
I've been trying to do this other job in the security of getting a salary, of getting this, and the salary, by the way, was like $4,000 a month.
Okay.
And then with taxes and everything is like $3,100.
Barely covering bills.
Not even close.
Yeah, got it.
My bills were like $8,000 a month.
Got it.
So
yeah. Okay.
So I'm like, why am I doing insurance only 2 hours Monday through Friday and then Saturday, when I can do it all day, every day? I just made $2,000 in this home, and I made more in this 1 hour appointment than I can make
the entire month. Almost
the entire month. What the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
I need more chances at bat. And this was in very beginning of December. It was like December 10th. And I ended up quitting. And I quit my job. And I said, I basically just went all in. That was like my moment. And I realized that I'd always had a backup. I'd always had a backup plan. I'd always been looking for another job. And I was like, I'm fucking myself.
Yeah.
There is no other option. It is insurance or die.
So you had to go all in.
I'm going all in.
All in.
And I did. And that was the first time. It was like the second week after that. Like I went and got some leads, and I started getting to work, and I made $10,000 in a week.
Wow.
And that's when I just started.
That's when it took off.
That's what took off. And I was just like, nope. And And one of the things that changed it was at the end of November in 2018, I had met up I got to a new company, and I met up with a guy that was a top producer, and he had just came to Dallas. He was from Chicago, just came to Dallas, and he had sold massively. He had sold in Dallas. And he would get leads. He would build up leads for 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, he'd fly in for a weekend, sell, and then he'd fly back. And in that weekend, in 3 days, this was the weekend before Thanksgiving in 2018. It was Saturday night. He links up and he's like, hey, because I'm new in the company. Yeah. And he's like, hey, man, you want to link up? And so we went to Serious Pizza in Deep Ellum. And we had a beer and pizza. And he was like, I was like, how'd you do? And he was like, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and it was Saturday night. Oh, I made $36,000
in 2.5 days. Basically.
2.5 days, and I was like, "The fuck?
yeah. What? How?
What?
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Give me a secret. Come on.
Yeah.
And this guy, by the way, he looks and sounds like Gru from Despicable Me.
Yeah.
A thick ass Russian accent, real thick.
Not the most presentable, trustworthy kind of vibe.
No.
Yeah.
And he's literally setting mass amounts of appointments on the phone where you would think that people are going to be like not interested because you sound like a telemarketer or you sound like you're going to steal my information.
Yeah.
But he was setting all the right appointments. He was buying leads. He was just selling like mad. And so I was like, dude, what's the secret? And he's like, oh, hey, Greg, let me ask you some questions. And he starts going through all these questions about like my lead flow, my schedule, like am I controlling my schedule? How many appointments am I setting? What trainings am I going to? Boom, 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 boom. And all the questions I answered wrong because I wasn't doing the work. But I was tiptoeing and tap dancing.
Yeah, you're trying to make it up because like, what does he think? What do I think he wants to hear? And then you're trying to go through it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And he looks me square into my eyeballs. He looks me into the sockets of my soul. And he's like, Greg, I know your problem. You think you're special and you're not.
Wow.
And I was like, who the fuck is this guy?
Well, yeah, you stand up 6'7", towering over, Gru. You're like, what the fuck you just say, boy?
And, And
wow.
He's like, dude, you're not going to trainings every single day. He's like, you know why? He's like, I have the success that I have because I follow the system. I go to every single training, whether I know it or not, I can learn something from everybody. I lock my schedule down. I buy leads every week, which forces me to work the leads from the previous week as completely as possible. I set the right amount of appointments. He was like, for instance, we had dial days, and that was where you scheduled appointments for the next 2 days. So you would dial like on one day and you would just dial for clients' appointments and then you'd run appointments the next 48 hours. Dial days for us were on Mondays and Thursdays. The following Thursday was Thanksgiving. And he's like, for instance, this next Thursday is a dial day. You know what I'm going to be doing? I'm going to be fucking dialing because I treat my business like it's a business. He was like, you know how many people are going to make excuses because it's Thanksgiving and they got to spend time with their family? And you know what? Those people aren't fucking winning. I am. That's why I make that much money because I don't make excuses in my life.
Damn.
And he showed me his phone, and in his phone he had wrote down his goals.
Yeah.
He was like, it was a screensaver and his background on his phone. And he was like, this is my goal. I wrote this out at the beginning of the year and I see it every single time I look at my phone. And it reminds me, am I doing enough to hit this goal? And he was like, and his goal was like to sell 400,000, which is a good feat.
Yeah.
Right. And he had sold that year 600,000.
That's crazy, man.
And so December, I was like, literally that night I went home. I was like, I'm selling 400,000 in 2019. Issue paid. I'm going to do this, that. And I wrote it down. I posted it on my wall. I posted it on my fridge. I took a picture of it. It was on my phone, my screensaver. It was my background. And then Christmas in December, I just started getting after it. And once I hit that first 10K week, it was like every week 10K. I was just rolling.
Just rolling.
Just rolling.
It just, the switch flipped just like that.
Switch flipped. And so I'm spent 2019 in a blur of running massive amounts of appointments, dating girls on and off, right?
Yeah.
I'm still like emotionally and like in my personal life, it's still a shit show because like I'm still doing the same shit. Anytime I had any open time, if I was just like, well, I'm not doing anything this Saturday, I would go out, I would party, I would drink, I'd blow some money, and I would try to hook up with people.
Yeah.
And then I would just run balls to the wall all week.
Yeah.
And you know, I ended up hitting my goal. I sold like 425,000.
So when you say that in insurance vernacular, that means you took home
I
revenue.
deposited 360,000 that year.
Got it.
So
So when you sell, that's your commission. What you're getting paid.
that's approximately what you get paid. So
Yeah.
that's what I would get paid overall.
Yeah.
Because we have back end commissions
Yeah.
and then we have advance commissions. So advance is 75%. The back end is there 25% that gets paid in months 9, 10, 10, 11, 12 of the year.
Got it.
So for that policy.
Got it.
So I would essentially get paid the full 425, but
It's spread out.
it's spread out.
Got it.
So that year I got deposited like 360, but I spent a lot on leads. I ended up getting an office. I got staff. Like
Yeah.
I started
building your own
building
business.
an actual business.
Yeah. Hang on. Before you move on, I want to back up to your meeting with what was the guy from Chicago's name?
His name's Ivan.
Ivan,
Yeah.
the Russian Guru.
Yeah.
Okay. Ivan, the Russian Guru. That period, it sounded like there was a 3-week period where your life just went like a V. Like you're down, and then it just, as fast as it went down, it went straight up from your professional perspective, not your personal life. But
Yes.
it's like the end of November or mid-November before Thanksgiving to your first 10K week in December. What are the lessons, man? What were the lessons? I mean, you told the story, but what is the takeaway that sits with you today from those moments in that conversation? Like for our audience, you know, that the audience can apply to their life, like sort of.
One is when you get good at information, like for instance, one of the best pieces of information that I took away from him that I didn't realize was as good as it was writing down your goals and seeing them in like on paper, writing them out, putting them on the wall. I had it on the wall next to my bed. I had it on my phone. Seeing that goal constantly as a reminder, and it's also putting it on the universe. It's like the law of attraction.
We talked about that in episode 26. Yeah.
That was more powerful, I think. I know it was now than I realized it was then. And I saw that he did it, and I was just like, well, he's saying to do it. I'm just going to apply it. So I've always been that person that if I saw somebody being more successful than me and they told me something they did, I didn't just think about it. I went and applied it.
Yeah.
Like I'd be like, okay, I can do that. Like how hard is it to go write out your damn goals and tape it to the wall and put it on the screen of your phone?
But how many people actually
fucking do it?
Like 0.0001% of the world's population.
Yeah.
Like, literally. Like for the audience, ask yourself, do you do this?
Yeah.
And then just ask your friends and family, hey, do you write your goals down and put it in your mirror or on your wall or on your screensaver or anything?
So powerful.
So many people. And so, but part of that also was, there's two things to that. So one was, thankfully he reached out to you, hey, let's meet up and talk.
Yeah.
But it's finding somebody that already has what you want. Mm-hmm. And going out and talking to them.
Yes.
How did you get to where you were? Because I want to do that.
Exactly.
Right? Now, a lot of people don't know how to do that or don't even think about doing that, right? Mm-hmm. And the second part was, well, I don't know if this works, but let me try it anyways.
Yeah.
And people are unwilling to do that for fear of embarrassment, failure, ridicule. Why do you have your goals on your phone? Oh, you're never going to hit that. You're never going to do that, right? And so...
I wouldn't care. If someone laughed at me,
but that's you. But a lot of people that listen to this are afraid to take that step.
Yeah,
they're afraid to do things that otherwise would look kind of weird to most. And then, well, I don't want to look weird, so I'm not going to put my goals in my sun visor where I can just look at it while I'm in rush hour traffic or wherever.
Yeah,
people don't do that, right? So like,
you absolutely should, by the way.
Yeah, well, and so
this is like an advanced technique, by the way. This is advanced shit.
Well, it's like what you talked about in episode 26. You say, man, I want to buy a yellow Porsche, and then all of a sudden you're seeing yellow Porsches on the freeway.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you're seeing your goals all the time. You're like, your mind or your subconscious or your
just
vibration attunes to the goal, and everything you think and do, some way has a relation to that goal.
Yep.
Right.
Absolutely.
So that's crazy good. So anything else from that period of time?
The other thing was I realized is the realization that I had been. People always say like, "Oh, burn the ships, burn the ships, put your back against the wall." And they say it like it's like a badge of honor, but they don't really do it because you always are looking for like, well, if this doesn't work, this is my backup option. And I realized it when I had that appointment and I made like 2,000 in commission that 1 hour, and I was like. And I literally left that house and I was like in dumbfounded. I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like if I just literally threw myself, I could that was the easiest
thing
I've ever done. like it should be illegal. Like
Fastest way to make $2,000.
The insurance should be illegal the way we make money.
Yeah,
Like it's just stupid.
Yeah.
What am I doing? And so I realized that I'd always said that same, the jump on the bandwagon. I'm going to see the same bullshit as everyone else.
Yeah.
And I wasn't living it. And so I realized at that moment, like, I need to actually do it. And so I had an Indeed account that I had my resume on that I was always looking at. I friggin' canceled it. I quit the next day. And I literally jumped in. And believe me, I was scared shitless, by the way.
Yeah.
Because this to paint the picture, it was like December 10th, 11th time frame. I had $1,600 in my bank account. I had about $5,000 left of bills. I have 4 kids. I had not bought any Christmas gifts for any of them.
Yeah.
And I took that $1,600 and I spent every dollar on leads.
To zero. Your balance was zero.
Balance was zero. I think I had $40 left in my account.
Wow.
$40.
And
I went to zero. And I was just like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it the right way. And I literally put my back against the wall. That was the week I made $10K. And then I could pay off all my bills. I spent like $1,000 or so on kids' Christmas gifts. And then I still had $4K left for the business to start funneling back into leads.
Bought more leads. Okay. She. There's a lot.
Dude, I'm telling you, when I say I woke up with my butthole puckered every single morning.
Yeah.
Dude.
It's like that.
Every morning, like, got to get to work. Like, oh,
okay,
man.
Okay, so, man, I'm trying to, so a lot of people are unwilling to go there because of a lot of reasons. Not like you had your military experience to rely on. You've been into situations, life or death. Mm-hmm. You've been in the rough scenarios. You've seen perspective on the other side of the planet where life is not as good. So you're able to go to say, it's do or die, like literally do or die.
Yeah.
Many, many people are unwilling to get into that level of psychological or real life discomfort to look at their balance and say, zero. I've got mounds of credit card debt. I've got all this. I cannot give up the steady paycheck to go live my dream. Right? Where like sort of there's this whole porridge pot of different stew, like let's call it a stew of different ingredients that are, it's like drive, motivation, proving your ex-fiance wrong. You just made a quick $2,000. Like there are indicators that you said you can do this.
Yeah.
Right. What about the person out there who is 9 to 5 making, above minimum wage, but they want to do this, but they're not willing to pull that ripcord or jump out of that plane, without a parachute? Like what is that mentality? What is that? Is it just extreme belief in yourself?
It is. It's extreme belief. I do believe. I believe it's extreme belief in yourself, and then it's just like a stick-to-itiveness. It's like a not willing to quit. I've always been that person that's not willing to quit since I was a kid.
Yeah,
and that's why I went through all these toxic relationships. I'm like, I'm not quitting.
So double-edged sword. Everything good.
Everything was like
yin and yang. Good,
I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna solve this problem. I'm gonna make it work.
Yeah.
And that's why I had a lot of bad relationships. Because like
the
the ex-fiance. That was just the first, There was like many other after it. And there's only like 7% of the nation of people that have the capabilities to be like successful entrepreneur, right?
Yes.
It's like 7%.
I would say less, but yeah.
Yeah. But out of that 7%, what is it, like 2% that are actually like really crushing it? So it does take a special individual, I do think, but at the same time, like it's not special. It's not a special talent. It's just really like I can just turn my mind off. I can literally put blinders on. Did I have credit card debt that was piling up? Yes.
Yeah.
Did some of my bills go negative? Yes.
Yeah.
Did I have like my child support went negative and I had to go do back pay for my child support, which at this time, all this had happened in May. She had already taken me to court, and we entered into a court battle at this time frame to fight for custody. And by the way, I'm also missing custody payments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but I'm like, I have to focus on what I can control right now, because if I go down this path continuously, it's not going to work. I can see the end. It's almost like it's having a forethought, of looking down the road. If I stay at this current position, it's not going to end where I want it to end.
Yeah. You see that light of the train coming.
Yeah, I see it coming.
You see it coming, and you're on the tracks, and you're not.
I'm getting the hell off these tracks, and now I'm going to go all in on this. And if I have to go negative a little bit, I know it's going to be uncomfortable in order to go positive. But the uncomfortableness was caused by me because I wasn't going all in. I wasn't doing the things I was supposed to be doing. I wasn't, focusing completely on the success in that. And I was half stepping.
Yeah.
And what I compare it to is like, if you ever jump into a cold pool.
Yeah.
So you can jump in and just cannonball in.
Yeah. That's what I do.
And it's uncomfortable for what, like 2 seconds?
Yeah. You go, and then you're like,
and then it's refreshing.
Yes.
And then you're like, hey guys, water feels great.
Yeah.
And everyone's looking at you like crazy. Now, the person that tiptoes in and goes step by step by step, do they ever actually get in?
No, they get about to the knees, maybe halfway, and then like,
they get about right there.
Yeah.
And then they're like, nah, man, I can't do it. I can't do it.
Yeah.
And they jump out.
Yeah.
That's how entrepreneurship is. It's just jumping in. And if you do it halfway, you're going to get, your butthole's going to be puckered every single morning. You're going to get uncomfortable, and you're going to get to a point where like, I can't do it. And then you're going to step out. And if you just jump in, water's fine. You'll be uncomfortable for a little bit, and then it feels refreshing.
That's a great analogy, bro. Great analogy. It's like what Andy says. He has this podcast. You're either all in or you're all out. You might as well just go all in.
You might as well go all in.
Yeah. And I have a recent reel. I don't know if it's come out or not, but it's about, the whole point is, everybody has a best friend that you're going to cheer for. Go, you can do it. You can do it. I got your back. But nobody wants to do it for themselves and be their own best friend.
Yeah.
Say, hey, you can do this. You got it. You can do this. Yeah. I got your back. Nobody does that.
And you should.
You should do that first. Like, you wake up in the morning, oh, my butthole's puckered, but you can do this. Let's go. Right? Right? So you're your own best cheerleader and best friend. And not a lot of people understand that concept. And in fact, they'll cheer on a celebrity that they don't even know, who doesn't give a shit about them, more than they'll cheer for themselves.
Yeah.
Which it blows my mind. It just blows my mind. So from a professional standpoint, you're on this major upswing.
I'm on this
major upswing. You went from in the red to 300, 400K the next year.
Yeah.
Take home.
Yeah.
That's badass, bro. That's badass. And so now we're kind of balancing your
I'm going to counseling.
Yeah.
I'm doing the counseling. I'm currently going to counseling. I am going through a custody battle.
Yeah.
With my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Which went for many years, by the way.
Okay, got it. That would exhaust anybody.
I had girlfriends that I was one main girlfriend for most of 2019, but we would break up, and then I would start dating, and then we'd go back together, and it was like this constant roller coaster, right, for all of 2019. And my personal life's still a shit show, but I'm getting better. Like, I feel like I'm starting to get out of the hole.
Does the financial success bleed into your, sort of, you feel better because you got a little bit of a cushion, and now I can be more liberal with my hanging out with who I want to hang out with, spend a little bit more money, wine and dine, so to speak. Yeah,
it does.
Yeah,
it does.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm building a team. I got a team size where in that organization I was considered a VP, vice president, because I had a team that was doing like 20 agents doing like 250,000 a month combined with everybody.
And you would take a ride on their production. On them. Yeah. Okay.
And so, like, things are looking up. Yeah. Like, things are looking good. And so, 2020 hits, and I hit what's called Hall of Fame. So then in 2020, we had in February, right before the shutdown, we had our big conference where I got up on stage, I got awarded, I got to speak, bro. Like, in this big, huge conference. It's a 3-day conference for our company, and I'm like on a high, right?
Yeah.
COVID hits. And everything changes.
It all goes.
Everything changes.
Wow, bro. Wow.
So,
man, that's crazy. So, obviously, Corona or the lockdown affected a lot of people, but like, you're at the peak, or you're moving towards the peak, the pinnacle of in 2 short years. You're, what do I say, over $1 million in book.
And
celebrated award show. You're the guy. 3-day, celebration, and then boom.
this is also where a lot of people that are having success, this is the point that I started to make the mistake, is that when I started having that success, I got to a point where I thought I made it. Like, I'm good. And I hadn't made it yet. And I stopped pushing on the gas. I stopped that fire, that drive within me was starting to slow down.
Yeah. Real quick, hold that thought, because I think that happens to a lot of entrepreneurs, which is, I wouldn't say you get this feeling of you made it, or you're comfortable,
you
but
get comfortable.
You get comfortable, and then you realize that, or you don't realize. I think subconsciously you're like, man, now I don't have to work as hard.
It gets easy.
It gets easy, yes.
And you just stay doing the easy tasks without finding new ways to push and challenge yourself.
Yes.
Because you were so used to like challenge, and then there's a learning curve.
Yes.
So as you get through that bell curve and you start to have the success, you start to skyrocket, you get to a certain point where like, I'm just going to do the same thing.
Over and over again. What happens to me? Like, so, massive big case, big win. Okay, rest. No, you got to go for that next big case and the next big case and the next big, whatever. Whatever. And so how did you, sort of snap out of that? Or
well, I mean, it was kind of snapped out of me by COVID. And so insurance was a necessary business, whatever it was called. It was a essential business. But there was something within me, and I don't know what your thoughts are. I think COVID was bullshit. I think it was a fucking hoodwink on the entire American people.
We rowed the boat in the same direction, bro.
Yeah. So at the time, I didn't know any better. I was like, well, I wasn't afraid of getting it. I'm young.
Yeah. Well, that's not to say if you feel, if you not to, if you feel COVID affect your life, we're not diminishing that by discounting that by any imagination or any stretch. But as a physician, also a lawyer and a finance guy and a numbers guy, just like you, you have to look into the details of the numbers, the studies, all the reports, not just what's being reported.
Yeah.
Research. And then in the end, it's neither right nor wrong. Everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe.
Absolutely.
And so if you have been affected by COVID, we sympathize with you. And so that's not to say or diminish in any way anybody that was affected negatively during the lockdown. So that being said, here we are.
So at the time, I didn't know any better. I didn't know what was going on. So I was just like, well, I'm not as scared of getting this, but I sit with a lot of people that are health compromised and that are in their 50s to 80s. And so what if I become a carrier where I don't get sick, but it makes them like pass away? I could not live with my conscience with that.
True.
Couldn't
As it should be.
Couldn't do it.
As you should.
And I just made a commitment. I'm just like, not going in the home anymore. So now I'm going to sell remotely. And now my entire company, the company, the overhead structure, everyone within the overall company, because I was like a company within a company, like an umbrella structure.
Got it.
The overall company from the top down was like, go in the home, go in the home, go home. They didn't like remote sales. They didn't teach it. They didn't like it. And they were like, hey, we're essential services, so go in the home, period. And while everyone's going right, I'm going left.
You're going online.
I'm like, nope, doing my own thing. And now I'm talking about doing my own thing. And I had to teach myself. I had to start reading. I had to start testing and tweaking methods. I had to reach out to people that had done remote and learn from them. And I did. And I found a lot of help. And I started to create and develop my own method. That started in end of March 2020. I got a call from the overall president of the company, who literally threatened me. It was like, Greg, you need to go in the fucking home. Because like you're a Hall of Fame producer, you're this, that, the other.
You can't be not towing the company
you can't
line.
You can't be doing that. And I was like, I was literally like, get fucked. I'm a 1099. I can do what I want. If it's not illegal, immoral, or unethical, I'm allowed to do it. And last I checked, this is all legal, moral, and ethical. So get fucked.
Yeah.
And don't threaten me. So he was like, well, don't post about it. I don't want people knowing that you're doing that. Okay, fine. I'll be quiet about it. So I was quiet about it. And I just kept doing it. And then I started to hit those 10K, 15K, 20K weeks again. And I started to get my
during
stride.
COVID.
During COVID. It was so easy, bro. Everyone thought they were going to die.
Because everybody's at home.
Everyone's at home, and everyone thought they were going to die.
Yeah,
So
you need insurance. You need life insurance. What if you die? Yeah, got it.
It was crazy. So, so now the president calls me. He's like, bro.
You really got to stop.
No, he was like, I think you're onto something.
Oh, wow.
I think you're onto something.
Smart president.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you create a program where you can train people to do the same thing that you're doing? And I was like, fuck, I ain't trained a monkey to do this. So
Yeah.
Give me some agents. So I started a training program in like April, May of 2020. I started training people that weren't even in my agency on how to do remote sales the proper way. Created a whole system. And I started working it. And as I was working it and learning, I was tweaking and like making improvements along the way.
Yeah.
And so the promise, the kind of unspoken promise, it was spoken. He was like, hey, if you do this, we're going to create a whole new section of the company. It's going to be all remote sales, and you're going to be the head of it, and you're going to run it. Right.
You get a ride on all the agents that
get a
sell
ride
through
on all the
You're
agents
like, hell
that do it.
yeah, I'm in.
And so I'm like, dude, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm in. Yeah.
Like I can do this. They would never pull the trigger.
Huh.
They would never pull the trigger. And so 2020, I started dating a girl. Because 2019, I was dating this other girl. 2020, during COVID, actually, during the lockdown.
I mean, you're still in this habit of messing around, finish with one, move to the other, just never addressing the pain inside of the divorce and all that stuff. Yeah. Got it.
Just being a straight shithead.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Hey, happens to the best of us.
And so I started dating this girl, and she's in the company. She actually sees me at the convention. I don't see her. She sees me because I'm on stage.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And she's like, that guy, right?
Yeah.
And so she starts texting me like in March just to be like, hey, asking me questions about sales, about how to do this, that, the other. And she starts to connect with me through Facebook Messenger, which builds and builds and builds to where we're dating. And she lives in our state. She ends up flying out to come run business with me, which was running business was running me. And
okay.
And she basically never goes back, right? She never goes back. She was in Arizona, and she just comes and stays forever. So, yeah.
We've heard this story before.
Yeah.
Okay. In episode 26.
This is really close.
Yeah. Okay.
So anywho,
he's got a big heart, man, inviting all these girls to your house and staying from out of state, whatever. Just to live. Come on, whatever. Okay, guys.
Come on. Casa de Birch.
Yeah, I got it.
So I'm teaching her. She ends up getting into my organization. She wants to work with me
on your team,
in my team.
Yeah.
Right? And at first I was like, no, stay where you're at. Like, let's not mix personal professional. But it ended up happening for whatever reason. It ended up happening, and so she's working with me. Well, it caused a lot of stress. Like, she's young. She was 22 at the time.
Okay.
So I think she's 23 or 24 now. It caused a lot of stress having her to do the work-life balance, right? And eventually she ended up wanting to leave and go back to her original team. Now, when she came to my team, I had put thousands of dollars into her by buying her leads, training, time, money. Like, I bought her thousands of dollars of leads, and I'm like, I'm getting that recruitment back.
Yeah.
Through overrides. It's happening.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm not releasing her to go back to her team. Caused a rift, caused a strife, to the point that she tried to go. She went to an event. She drove to an event where the company president was going to be, to try to talk to him personally to get him to override my decision. And he was like, what did Greg say?
Yeah. I'm not going to piss off a top producer over this. Come on. What did he say?
And so I got a call from like the number 2 guy in the company. He's like, hey, bro, your girl's here. She's trying to do this, that, the other. I was like, tell her to get fucked.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I'm not leaving. She's not coming off my team. Like, I need to make enough overrides to justify the amount of money I put into her.
Yeah.
Period.
Fair enough.
Or you know what? I was like, if the guy that wants to take her back,
Yeah.
if he wants to just pay me, I'm down with that too.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll talk to him. Never came back.
Yeah.
So I was like, she's staying. So, this is in October. This is literally this is 2 years
Last year,
ago.
2 years ago.
2
Okay.
years ago.
Okay.
October 2020. What's today's date? Dude, it's the anniversary.
Oh, shit.
I'm not even kidding. It's the
Oh,
anniversary.
This was unplanned. An anniversary of something, but this is unplanned, y'all.
It's an anniversary. So, she leaves in October 2020. She comes back. She drives back, and so then she was living with me at the time, and she ends up moving out. She gets an apartment, and so she's like, let's like take things slower, right? Because I feel like we need a date, this, that, the other, and so we start dating, right? And we're like, I'm going to her apartment and she's coming over and we're still seeing each other here and there. And it's like, we've backed off way slow.
Yeah.
And then we have a conversation where I'm like, hey, Thanksgiving's coming up next month. Hey, what are we doing for Thanksgiving? The kids are supposed to be coming here, this, that, the other. And she was like, I'm not seeing your kids. Now she's already met my kids the previous summer.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? Wait, what? And she was like, we're not even dating. Like, we stopped dating.
Yeah,
We're just seeing each other. We're just having, like, I don't even know if this is what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm like, man, that's what I get for dating a fucking 22-year-old.
And you're how old at this point?
I'm 36.
Yeah, okay. Hold that thought in position real quick because I want to bring up a point before we get into this because it sounds like a hairy story coming through.
Yes.
Let's go back to COVID.
Yeah.
Okay. You're like you have this brainchild of, man, I don't want to be first because I'm a good guy and I don't want a guilty conscience. I don't want to sell into people, actually get them sick and they die. And I'm like, holy cow. Right? Because at that time, a lot of people didn't know anything about COVID. It was early.
Yes.
So we didn't know how legit it was. All we saw were videos of people in China falling over. Dying.
And just like the images of like all the dead bodies going into ambulances being driven away and like thrown out.
So serious concern.
Yeah.
But then you find what? You find opportunity in chaos.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
And massive success that way.
Yes.
And so one thing you did say is you kept working on your process. Mm-hmm. How important is that for success, bro? Like, dude, those 2 points.
So
the first point about chaos and you find opportunity.
So this goes back to even to the original where I had a massive success when I first started, and it was commitment. It really is just commitment towards, I'm doing this. It's fucking insurance or die, bro.
Yeah.
And when I realized that like I can't go in the home, there was no like, well, I'm gonna try this.
No plan B.
There was no plan B. There was no like, I'm gonna try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll go back in the home. No, it was like, I'm never going back in the home again.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm gonna find a way to do this. And so I just started to test and iterate this process. I failed so many times.
That's the other part. I was going to ask you, how many times did it not work out?
Dude, I had so many appointments where people hung up on me, people blocked me, and I was like, dude, I'm doing the same thing I always do. And I realized that that the way I was selling, a lot of it was due to, I'm a big dude. I can walk into a home and I can sit down and do, I'm telling you, I got to where I was cocky, bro.
Like, look at me, man. I'm 6'7".
I'm like, I knock on the door. No shit. This is my sales process. I'd knock on the door. They'd see me. I'm like, what's up? Like, just like, what's up? Like, hey, what's going on? And I like kind of duck in, like just like kind of work past them.
Did you like train was this rehearsed? Like,
yeah, bro.
It was part of your deal.
It's part of my deal.
Yeah.
And I told them, I told them coming when I set my appointment, I'm like, look, I'm 6'7", I'm 250. I look like I play for the Dallas Cowboys. Don't ask me for an autograph. It will do you no good. And then they would laugh. And they would laugh.
Yeah.
And I was like, No, I'm serious.
Got it.
So they'd see me, they'd be like, wow, you are big. I'm like, that's right. What's up? Where we sitting?
Yeah.
And I would just like kind of duck in. I'd take my shoes off and I would point. I would lead them and I'd say, hey, let's go ahead and sit over here. And they'd be like, okay. And then they'd have the TV on. I'd literally be looking at them. I would just grab the remote and be like, turn off the TV. I'm like, hey, I got a lot to talk to you about. I want to make sure you're paying attention.
Yeah.
Hey, and I would jump into my process, and I would be very assertive, very aggressive. Just be like, hey, I need you to get your driver's license. I need to avoid a check.
Don't even give them time to think,
No.
to withdraw their.
Just jumping in.
Yeah.
And I sold a lot.
Close.
Sold a lot because it was my presence.
In and out, and they're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah. And it was shitty sales.
Yeah.
I realized that
that's not the right way, but you're getting great
But that's
results.
how we were taught. That's how we were taught.
You're getting great results. Yeah.
Yeah. And
or great results in the sense of your own income. Yeah.
When you're remote, you really have to learn how to communicate appropriately.
Yeah. No one's gonna know you're 6'7".
No one's gonna know
250 of pure muscle.
No one's gonna know that, and no one's gonna give a shit either.
Yeah.
And it's so easy. Like no one's gonna look at me and be like,
"Get out of my house!
Get out of my house!"
Yeah.
It's just not gonna happen, right?
Yeah. Good points, bro.
And it never
That's
did.
gold right there.
But on the phone, they just be like, red button, click, done, block.
Yeah.
Super easy.
Yeah.
Takes them no time.
Thanks, but no thanks.
So I realized that my communication style for sales was severely lacking.
Wow.
And it forced me to start reading, and it forced me to start testing and training new methods.
Good for you, bro.
And I spent the better part of a year and a half creating my own sales method.
Almost the entire lockdown.
Yeah.
Man, so that's the other thing I want to say is that, and that even applies now, which is during these moments of the lockdown or when things are uncertain or things slow down, a lot of people, because of the uncertainty, actually don't do anything.
Yeah.
They just sit around and wait until the storm passes.
Yeah.
Versus you, on the other hand, and I find this, and you probably do, you talk to a lot of successful people, that during these times of uncertainty, they actually go more aggressive into learning and improving on themselves or perfecting their technique or their craft or just working on things so that when time comes, the storm has passed, they're right out the gate.
Yeah.
They're right out the gate even better than when it started.
It definitely started the path to be where I am today.
That's crazy.
100%. If I didn't take the opportunity of COVID for what it was and learn new skills, I would not be the president of Delta Financial today.
Yeah. So by design, did you know ahead of time? Were you doing this by design, or was it just circumstance, or just right opportunity,
instinct.
right place,
Instinct.
ready? Like, what was that podcast on success? It's when preparedness meets opportunity, that's success.
Yeah. It was
being prepared, keeping prepared.
Partially instinct, partially just my core values and what I believe in, and just sticking by it. And I believe that's also a key point here is when you have something that you believe in and like sticking by it and not making compromises. And no matter if the whole world's like, I had a whole company of like thousands of agents that were talking shit about me because I was remote.
No shit.
Because people knew about
that
it.
Pressure.
It was like everyone was like, "Oh yeah, don't talk to Greg. Like he's doing this remote bullshit. I heard he's got a bunch of chargebacks. I heard his business sucks. I heard this stuff, and just talking shit about me. And I heard about it.
Yeah.
I constantly heard the
chatter.
chatter.
Yeah.
And it was just like, dude, y'all have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
A, and B, I'm gonna be the one that's laughing later.
Yeah. So again, prove them wrong.
Yeah.
I'll prove them wrong.
Yeah.
Common theme for a lot of successful people: prove them wrong, because success is really a lonesome journey.
It really is.
You have like-minded guys and people, but your own personal success is a lonesome journey. And then now you got this pile on of you're not going to make it. What the fuck does he think he's doing? He doesn't know any good. That kind of.
He thinks he's special. And he's not.
Yeah. So it takes an incredible amount of self-belief.
Yeah.
Which, again, for those of you all who are not experienced entrepreneurs or are new to this, you just got to believe in you. No plan B, believe in you.
Yeah.
Right? And this is unwavering faith that you will see it through. Whether it fails or succeeds,
it's on you.
You have to see it through.
Yes.
Right? To know.
As long as you see it through, it's going to succeed.
It's going to succeed.
At the end, it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
Because the only failure really is quitting, to be honest.
Yes.
Like, it just always is. And I know that's kind of cliche to say, but it's the fucking truth.
Yeah. What was it? Jocko said the only true failure is death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. If you're not dead, you
can still keep going. You just keep getting up. You get knocked down.
Yeah.
And I got knocked down a lot in COVID.
Yeah.
I got knocked down a lot learning how to do remote. Like it was difficult. I was maxing out my time and the amount of appointments.
And you're not a technical guy, like a technology guy at all.
Not at all.
You know. So at the time, at least then. So okay, so a lot of lessons in this COVID, turning something super negative on a macro and micro scale into something so positive, which we'll get into Delta Financial in a minute. So this girl, back to this girl. Yeah. Thanksgiving, you're not going to see my kids.
Not going to see my kids, and I'm like, man, this is on me because I keep dating these young girls, right?
Like, was she a stripper or not a stripper?
She was not a stripper.
Okay.
She was an interest in me. She was an interest in me.
Yeah.
Gorgeous girl. She could have been a stripper, but she wasn't.
Okay, bro.
But she started becoming friends with my ex-fiance. My ex-fiance voiced out to her.
Yeah.
And now they're like best buddies, right? And they're like talking all the time, which is really weird, by the way.
That's very weird. That's very
really
weird.
strange.
Yes.
And so
this is kind of Batman life, bro.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like massively professionally successful, and then you got these. You know,
this shit show.
Got it. Go. Okay.
So she has this conversation with me, and I'm just like, this is like maybe October 19th, I think, and I'm just like, oh, we're not together? Okay. Now, my ex-girlfriend from 2019, she was like
one of your ex-girlfriends.
One of my ex-girlfriends from 2019, but like the main one, she was. I still talk to her.
Yeah.
Right. And she was, every once in a while, and she was really upset that we stopped dating and I was dating this other girl because she wanted to like do the whole on again, off again thing. Because that's what we're so used to.
Yeah.
And she was really upset about it, and it always broke me up. And so I just reached out to her and said, "Hey, happy birthday!" Because her birthday is this month, is in October.
Okay, so it's not the one that didn't want to see your kids for Thanksgiving.
No.
This is a total separate somebody else that you were not the ex-fiance.
No.
Okay.
This was the girl after the ex-fiance where I was like, hey, can we do 40 days, 40 nights kind of thing?
Oh, the same one.
Same
okay.
one. That's
okay,
her.
That's her. Okay.
So
then was she like a pageant winner or something like that?
Yeah, so she was Miss New Mexico.
Okay.
She's 3-time Miss New Mexico winner. She competed in Miss USA.
You got it.
Or Miss America.
Okay.
Gorgeous girl. But I reached out to her to say happy birthday, and she was like, "Man, you always know when to text." She had started another relationship with another guy. They broke up, and so we started talking. And I invited her over. I was like, "Well, let's do something for your birthday." She's like, "Well, I have friends coming in for my birthday, but I can come over." It was the 21st. It was the 21st of October. I come over this day, and so I invited her over. I cooked steak. I grilled some steaks and I think some asparagus, and I made her a birthday cake.
Yeah,
I love to cook.
Yeah.
And she comes over, we have food, we watch some TV, we start.
All right, so for the current ladies, Greg is massively involved with somebody now.
Yes,
so
I am.
Don't send it because 6'5", 255, got money, got cars, and can cook. He's taking, ladies.
I'm taking.
Okay, go.
I'm taking.
Okay.
So her and I, we start fooling around. We start having sex on the couch.
Keep going, bro.
I can't even make this
gotta
up,
be one
bro.
of the best. Okay, go.
So the girl that we were like kind of on again, off again, she moved out, and she, the girlfriend I was with, and I saw, I was like, she's like, hey, we're not together. So I was like, okay, dope, we're not together, deuces. Like, yeah, and I'm out. So I didn't talk to her, and I wasn't texting her or responding to her text for like from then all the way till now.
Yeah. So
it's been like almost 48 hours, and so she's like, there's something going on.
She's suspicious. So
she's all suspicious.
But she told you you're not together.
Told us we're not together.
Okay.
So I'm like, dope.
Right. Fair enough.
She comes over out of nowhere.
While you're hanging out with Miss New Mexico.
While I'm hanging out with her. We're literally going to town. She bursts in the front door.
Because she has a key, or?
I didn't lock the door.
Oh, yeah.
I live in a nice neighborhood. This is totally gonna lock the door.
Okay.
I mean, I do now.
Lesson learned. Okay, she bursts in.
She was She did not have a key, by the way.
Okay.
She bursts in, and the storm straight up, and she just punches me in the side of the head.
While you're hanging out with Miss.
While I'm inside of.
Let's not get so graphic.
Like,
still a family-friendly show.
Okay. While we're hanging out.
Hanging out. Yeah. So you're getting punched, cold cocked.
Yes, she cold cocked me, and when she punched me, she had her keys in her hand. Her keys
no
flew
pun
out of her
intended,
hand.
Bro.
Yeah. And then she pulls out her phone and she starts videotaping. And that's where I was like,
is there no psych eval before your insurance agency?
I was like,
hires
what the
people,
hell's
bro?
going
Yeah.
on? So like I jump up and I try to stop her, and she stops video recording, and I can see her trying to text, and she's running out the door. Now her keys flew out of her hand, so she doesn't have her keys, and she has heels on, and she's trying to run outside. I'm still naked, and I'm chasing her. I'm like, hey, you got to delete that video. You can't
Yeah.
you can't
Yeah,
have
you can't
that.
do that. Yeah.
That's literally, it's illegal.
Yeah.
And she was basically like cursing, like, fuck you. And she was like,
While she's running down the street.
and she starts to run down the street. I'm like, give me your phone. I'm going to delete this thing and you can go. She starts running down the street and I'm chasing her. I'm naked. She's screaming. This is nighttime. She's screaming.
Like what time? Like what? I'm just trying to paint the picture for the audience. You live in a nice neighborhood.
Yes.
This woman is running down the street in high heels.
Yeah. Screaming,
help, with the phone just running.
I'm butt naked.
And you're just raw chasing her down.
Chasing her down. As she hears it.
How tall is she? Like, you're obviously, we've said
5'5".
Okay, an average normal size.
Average
lady.
normal
Yeah.
size.
Yeah.
And so I'm running her down. And as I'm running her down, she could hear me coming. She's like trying to look, and she's trying to look, and she ends up falling. And so she scrapes up her knee, she scrapes up her elbow.
Sorry, this is just,
And so
I'm trying to picture this, bro.
she takes her phone and she turtles it, and she's trying to hold it. And so I literally like reached my hand underneath her arms and I picked her up just enough to like lift her arms, and I grabbed her
And
phone.
she's screaming,
help,
rape, help.
Yeah. Screaming for help. And
Are the neighbors like, oh, there goes Greg again? Or is there, what are they doing? like, what are they doing?
Different house.
Different house.
There's
Okay,
a different house.
Got it.
So I'd moved since then. So I'm walking back, and as I'm walking back, I'm trying to get her phone, and because I knew the password, I'm trying to get her phone to delete this video.
Yeah.
And she literally is like hitting me from behind, hitting me in the back of the head. Every single time I go to log in, she hits me, and it like jars the phone. And
So
I'm
you're
like,
not able to hit the password.
I'm not
Okay,
able.
but wait. So you've chased her. How far do you run down the street naked, bro?
100, 200
100
feet.
feet? Okay.
Yeah. She couldn't run that fast.
On heels, yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't run that fast.
Yeah, okay.
It wasn't that far.
Okay.
So it was like 2 houses down,
Okay.
if that.
Okay.
So
You're back in your house.
So I'm walking.
What's Miss New Mexico doing at this time?
She had come to the door and she was watching us from the door. She'd like put on a robe. She was watching us. So I'm walking up, and as I get to like almost to the door, a neighbor comes out this like kitty corner across the street, and he comes out and he's like, "What the fuck are you doing to her?" And I was like, "I'm not doing anything. She's attacking me." And I was like, "I'm going inside." Went inside. I was in my entryway, and I have a bathroom there. I went to go use the bathroom. I'm trying to unlock this, and as I'm unlocking it, she follows me in the bathroom, and she's like punching me, just over and over again. And Mr. Mexico comes in. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like, I didn't know you guys were dating. And I was like, we're not dating. She's crazy. Call the cops. Call the cops right now.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
She needs to leave. And she was like freaking. She's like, I'm sorry. And, the other girl's like, fuck you. I want to fucking kill you.
She's off the handle.
She is outside. She's
way off the reservation.
Way off.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to reason with her. I'm like, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to let you go, because that guy probably called the cops
Already, yeah.
And that means the cops are coming, and you've been beating the shit out of me. This is not going to go well for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm going to tell them that you pushed me in the street. I was like, well, I didn't, but good luck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I was like, you literally need to let me delete this so you can go.
You're trying to do her
I'm
good.
trying to do her good.
Yeah.
Solid. And she was like, no, that's my phone. I was like, technically it was my phone, because it was on my phone plan, and I was paying for it.
Yeah.
And because I had paid for it for months. And so cops came. The only thing that saved me was that I had another woman there.
Yeah.
So cops came. I'm still naked, by the way.
So
cops come in, and
cops
like,
barge in.
Cops barge in.
And usually they separate everybody. Like, you go over there, you there.
They came in and like, what the hell's going on here? And I'm naked, and there's 2 females here. One's in a robe, one's in clothes and heels. And I was like,
She's scuffed up, buddy.
Ex-girlfriend, older ex-girlfriend. I was having sex with her. She comes in. She started kicking the shit out of me. She took a video of me. I'm trying to get the video off her phone. And they're like, can you get dressed? I was like, I'd love to. I'd love to. So they're like separated everybody. They took everyone's statements. We wrote on our statements. And I had this cop that was like, he was sitting down in the living room with me, and he'd look around and he saw like all my military words. And he was like, dude, you served? And I was like, yeah. And we're talking. And he was like, dude, what do you do? And I was like, I'm in insurance. He was like, bro, you have a crazy fucking life.
You do, bro. You do, man. Literally, you do.
And I was like,
I just have a crazy choice in women.
Yeah, I was like, dude, I think I'm a shit show, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, I keep making these really bad decisions to get me to this point.
You should read the last police report.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. So ultimately, at the end of the day,
her and I ended up getting back together, surprisingly.
But what saved you that night was
that, so they actually took her. They actually charged her with assault.
Oh wow, okay.
They charged her with assault, and then they took her and
based off of Miss Mexico's,
based off of the corroborating statements between Miss Mexico and I.
Okay.
And she tried to tell my company. She went straight to the company. She's like, I need to be out of his downline, his hierarchy, because he attacked me
crazy,
and blah blah blah. He attacked me last night, and there's a police report. And so, the number 2 in the company came and was like, hey bro, I heard you attack somebody. I was like, I'm talking to you right now. If I had attacked her, I'd be in jail, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I would.
So by then,
yeah.
Have you faced your demons? Have you?
No,
still. Fuck,
no.
bro.
No.
Why you keep killing yourself, man?
I know, because it's kind of like that gash, like that wound that I'm just taking super glue, and I'm like, it's gonna heal, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, first try to Band-Aid, that didn't work. Now I'm trying super glue, and I'm trying to do the least amount of work possible.
Because you still don't want to face them.
Because I don't want to do the hard work.
Got it. You don't want to listen to your mom saying you got to walk through it.
Yeah,
you got to face it, man.
And I'll say the one thing that saved me. This is where it actually starts. The one thing that saved me is that this girl, this very young woman, she introduced me to Andy Frisella. I didn't even know who he was.
Oh wow!
She knew about him, and she was like,
she was listening to him, or like she knew him.
She
personally?
was listening to his podcast,
got it.
And she was like, "You really remind me of him, like the way you talk, the way you like this, your mentality on things." She's like, "You should. Do you know what this is?" I was like, "I have no fucking clue who he is.
Yeah,
no idea." And she was like, "Well, he has this program called 75 Hard, and I already worked out every day. I was like big into my diet, stuff like that. Only thing I didn't do is I didn't read every day, or drink like a gallon of water. So, her and I do 75 Hard." When we get back together, we start doing 75 Hard. We end up falling off of it. We end up like breaking up for good. And so, 2020 comes.
Okay. Hold that thought.
Yeah.
For those of y'all who don't know what 75 Hard is, you need to go listen back to my old shows talking about it. I can't remember what episode it was. But the first time I did it. Right now I'm on day 40 going through it. But basically it's a 75-day program, gallon of water a day, no booze. You have a specific diet to your own personal goals, but you can't cheat on your diet. Got to read 10 pages of a nonfiction actual book, so no audiobooks and nothing like that. And then you got to work out twice a day, 45 minutes each, separated by several hours, and one of them has to be at least outdoors.
Yeah.
And the last thing, which most people fail on, is the selfie.
Yeah, take a selfie picture.
But it is not a fitness challenge, and you could attest to it.
No, it's not.
It is a mental strength and endurance challenge. Because by day 40 or so, you're just pissed off because you got to do this for 35 more days, knowing that you're able to do these things. So anyway, you get through it, man. And so you're working on 75 Hard.
So her and I break up in December, like break up.
Yeah.
And January starts, and I'm focusing on my business again. I'm back in that mode, right? I'm all like dialed in, no girlfriends. Yeah. Like I'm gonna
it's all about me.
I'm gonna crush this.
Yeah.
Like she thinks I can't do this, I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
And I reached out to my upline, the guy that was like one of my mentors, and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I know 2020 was a shit show because he was like part of all that drama constantly.
Having to deal with the shit.
I was like, dude, I'm sorry. I'm fucking back in the game. This is what I'm doing this year.
Okay. So the main point there is owning up to your bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did.
Personal responsibility, Jocko, extreme ownership. A lot of people would be like, oh, it was just COVID. I wasn't myself, this, that, and the other. But you're like, I fucked up.
No, I literally sent him text. I was like, dude, last year I was a shit show, and I'm sorry. And I know you see higher potential in me, and I see higher potential, and I'm fucking in it this year. Like I am doing this, and this. And I want you to hold me accountable because I'm doing it, right?
Awesome, bro. Awesome.
And he was like, fucking welcome back, bro. Let's go.
Where you been?
Yeah. So I just started getting to work, and so I started throwing myself into everything. If it was like another another like movie I watched during this time frame that got me going was I watched the movie Yes Man with Jim Carrey, and like how he says yes, and it's a great movie. It's really funny, but it's a great movie, and especially for entrepreneurs because you never know the small opportunities you get just by saying yes to the smallest things.
Oh yeah,
just being open to opportunity, and how he says yes to all these different things, and they kind of like all bleed together to like have this massive moment, and you just never see it coming, and so.
It's that law of attraction too, though.
It is,
right?
Absolutely.
Right? You're saying yes to all these things, and all of a sudden the universe is saying like, okay, he's ready. He's accepting it, right? So
I started building my own website. I started doing funnels. I started doing my own lead generation. I did a marketing class. I did so well in the marketing class that the guy that ran it, he now has me within his company, and I help teach other people how to do it. But it's a great recruiting source for me because I'm really good at it. And people are like, dude, I want to work with you. And I'm like, dude, here's my company, right?
Yeah.
And so
that's awesome, bro.
I started recording on video. I started my own podcast.
Yeah.
I started like all this stuff started in the beginning.
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please say that again?
Is that crazy girl, bro?
That's my Siri. That's my English accent female Siri. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So all this began in 2021.
2021. And I'm focused on work, and I'm just focused on building my funnel and like getting this going. And so February 2021, I had already started 75 Hard before. I got to like day 24 and quit. And I was like, I got it.
Yeah, I can do this. That's the worst. That's so common though. A lot of people quit in that 20-day period.
Dude,
like, I can do this. Why do I need to do it another 50 days?
I can tell you right now, if you get to day 20 or so and you think you got it, you don't fucking got it.
You don't got it at all,
You
bro.
don't got it.
You have no idea. You have no idea. I encourage you to do it though.
And so I listened to a Real AF podcast. It was Omar v 75 Hard. It was the Saturday after Valentine's Day 2021. I remember it.
No date for Valentine's.
No day for Valentine's.
You're 75 Hard.
Actually, we got snowed in Dallas.
I got snowed in. That's right.
There was a snowstorm. I was supposed to, my mom's birthday's on Valentine's Day. I actually had scheduled a flight to go home and go see my mom for her birthday. Because I was like, I'm not going to have a date anyways. But instead, I got snowed in. And so I was working out during the snow in. And it was the Saturday afterwards. And I listened to that podcast while I'm in the gym. And I was listening to Omar. And he was talking about the transformation that he had. And it was like he was speaking to me. It was like it was like talking to my very soul. And he was like talking about how he had tried it before. He gets like day 20 something. And he was like, people that do that, you don't fucking got it. And he was like talking about his business, his personal life, and how he was like, at the end of 75 days, I was a different human being.
You are a different human. You're entirely different. And I try to tell people this and they don't understand who haven't done it. You are entirely another human.
Transformationally, it is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah. What lessons have you learned from it? Like obviously you're doing the Live Hard program and all that. You've done it twice now, right?
I've done it twice now. Extreme accountability. I'll get to that.
Okay.
So that was the day I was listening to this podcast and I was like, this is what I need. Because I was still I was a little depressed about the breakup. I wasn't as down, but I was still like, it was bothering me, and I was still trying to focus on work, and I wasn't dealing with my demons, and I knew it. So I was like, you know what? I got to do this. This is it. And I just committed. It wasn't like, well, I'm going to try it. It was like, I'm fucking starting tomorrow. Let's do this. This is what I need in my life to become a better person. And so that's what I did. And I literally jumped on, and it changed my fucking life, man.
That's crazy. Now, how? So, go into that for a little bit.
So,
and this is not it is a semi-endorsement, not a formal endorsement of 75 Hard, but because
I talk about it all the time on my podcast.
Okay. Go for it, man. So how did it change you? Like what?
So first I started saying yes to everything. And one of the things I had to stop doing is I stopped going to church. I grew up Christian, and I grew up in the church. And so a buddy of mine that was a good mentor of mine and a great friend also, he was like, dude, you just need to get to church. And I was already on that yes man kick. So I was like, yes. And then he was like, dude, you need to tithe. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, dude, you need to do this. And I'm like, yes. And he's like, dude, you should do this other hobby. Like you should pick out a hobby. And it was like, the one I picked out was doing jiu-jitsu. And I was like, yes. And I started doing all these things that just was impacting and influencing my life in such positive ways. And so I'm sitting in church one day, and it was I was day 30 of 75 hard.
Where it starts to slowly really kick in how hard this is.
It's really kicking in, but it's also like I felt so at day 25 again, I threw my back out because I have a bad back from the military from being deployed and like
sideways in a tank. Listen to episode 26.
Yeah.
yeah.
So I have a bad back, threw my back out, and I throw my back out all the time. So I threw my back out in the gym doing box jumps. It's like day 24, and I realized it. And by the time I got home, I couldn't stand up straight.
Yeah,
and so
I've been there.
I still was like, I still got to do these 2 workouts every day. So I did 2 walks, limping, for like 3 days in a row.
Whoa.
Because I was running, I ran every day. I ran 4 to 5 miles every single day, and then I couldn't run, so I just walked.
Grueling 45 minutes.
Dude, it was the worst. It was so, but something clicked. Something clicked in me, where I was like, I can do anything. I can do anything.
See, that's the. Go ahead. Go and finish.
So around day 30, as when we kind of went away, and I started running, and I hit my stride. And now, like, when I was running, and I hate running, by the way. Now I started like pushing myself harder. Now I started seeing my times drop. Now I was running like 4 miles, and I was maintaining like a 6.5, 7 minute mile pace. And I was like getting back to the speed I had when I was in the military, even though I'm the same size. And I'm like shedding fat. I'm starting to get ripped.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can do anything. And so I'm in church, and I'm taking sacrament, and I'm sitting there, and I'm repenting. And I always repent. I'm like, well, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. I shouldn't have done this. And just on this one specific day, I felt compelled to just keep repenting. And I sat there in prayer during this, what seemed to be forever, like in turning probably like 5 minutes. And I started going through my entire life.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I was a real shit show with my last girlfriend. And I was a real shit show with the girl before that. And the girl before that. And I shouldn't have done this. And I was a terrible husband. And it was like all these things that I started to realize that like I was the fucking problem.
That's crazy, bro.
And I just
Good
started
for you,
to,
man.
I,
Good for you, bro. Good for you.
I just started to repent, man.
Yeah.
And it was like,
what a testimony.
I realized that the reason all these things were happening was I was attracting it into my life because I was that person, even though it was not in alignment with the heart or the soul of who I am. Like in my heart, I know I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I mean well. I want to help people. I want to serve people. But I was making bad choices that were not in alignment.
You're sabotaging yourself.
Sabotaging myself. And that's why I had this shit show of a personal life. And I realized, I was like, this is on me.
Yeah.
I can't blame this girl because she was crazy and she came over. I did things.
You set it up.
I set that up.
Yeah.
That was my fault.
Yeah.
I set it up for this other girl to want to be able to be an
escort.
An escort.
Yeah.
That's my fault. I set it up to where my ex-wife cheated on me on deployment. I was mean to her. I was cruel. And I started going through this, and then I cheated on her too. And I didn't try to fix that relationship. So the reason that I don't have a relationship with my kids as good as I want to do is on me. This is my fault.
That's deep, bro.
And I was sitting there, I was like crying in church.
Yeah,
it was hard.
That's real deep because man, to face that, I don't even know what to say because it
was cathartic. It was like this weight just came off and I could just breathe. And I was like, I was unencumbered by the decisions of the past because I had forgiven myself, which is very important to do. You have to atone for your mistakes in order to forgive yourself so that you don't make the same mistakes. And when you can look in the mirror and say, I've made these mistakes, you can identify them and then you won't make them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And that's the power of it. But no one wants to take accountability for their own
Well, that's
shit.
the thing. I was about to say you have to be responsible and and accept that they're your mistakes before you can forgive yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, that's and man,
I can't control other people's actions, but I can control mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was hard, dude. It was really hard.
But you felt this weight. You felt light.
Dude,
you're 255, but you probably feel like a feather.
Dude, I feel like a feather. And I actually left church and I went on a run.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and it was like I'd hit a new mode. I did just hit a new level.
Let me ask you this, man. In that moment, what a testimony, bro. I mean, I knew your story, but I didn't know it like that. Do you feel it was just a compilation of everything hit you at that moment, or was it because you were saying yes, 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 and now all of a sudden the universe is like, now he's ready to understand himself?
It's a compilation of everything. I think it was having the right people in your ear, right? So I was listening to Andy all the time, which is a great podcast. Still listen to. I had my mentors that are around me that I trust, that are good people, that give me good advice and also challenge me when I need to be challenged. I'm challenging myself daily, like doing 75 hard. The point of it is that you're doing something difficult, even if you don't want to, and it kind of challenges you daily. And that challenge daily grows your mental side, and it grows your discipline, it grows your toughness, it grows your grit, your persistency, everything. And so when you're like, for instance, if you're like, I want to run 2 miles really fast. Well, if you run 10 miles and then you go to run 2 miles, it's really easy. It's really easy.
You're pushing your boundaries, man. You're discovering yourself.
Exactly. So mentally, I was pushing my boundaries so high that when it came back and I was like, dude, like I've heard the podcast before, like the reason this is coming to my life is because I'm the shit show. I need to fix it. And I can see it unfold in my life as I'm doing all these things and I'm becoming a better person. And I'm like, it hit me at that point. It was kind of like a revelation, like the veil's been lifted. I'm like, I was the shit show. I wasn't going through the motions like I was supposed to. My life, I wasn't being the best version of myself. That's why I couldn't lead people effectively. That's why I was having trouble in my business of leading agents to be successful. That's why I was having trouble with my relationships and my kids and my past relationships.
It's on you. It's always on you.
You have to start with yourself.
Always on you.
Yes.
Man. And then I'll be honest, I'll do my own podcast episode on this, but about being accountable and not entitled and I deserve it. No, this is on you and your own decisions, man. That's an incredible testimony. That's crazy, dude. I would highly recommend this, and you can comment on it or not. But for those of you all in the audience considering wanting to be an entrepreneur and striking it out on your own in your own business and your own hobby or whatever, turning it into a business, one major recommendation would be, while you're in your current job or whatever you're doing, do 75 hard first.
Yes.
Before you strike out on your own and take on that risk. Because if you cannot make it through 75 hard is like a microcosm of what it's like to own your own business. Because it is day in, day out, from day 1 to day 75, for me, day 40s through 65 was where it really got hard, because you're like, damn, I got to do this over again. Damn, I got to do this over again.
And don't cheat yourself.
Don't cheat yourself. And it's self-accountability, right?
It is. You got to push. The point is that you're pushing yourself harder each day. Like if you're just like, well, I just did an outdoor workout and every single day you do the same walk on the same route and you're not increasing or trying to get faster or push yourself harder or like adding weight or doing you're not doing the program right.
Yes.
Like it's supposed to be difficult every single time.
Mentally difficult, not physically, mentally difficult.
Yes.
Okay. So to avoid having you fly back here for part 3, let's move into today. Like sort of you're now with somebody.
Yeah.
And talk about her. Talk about all that.
Tail end of 75 hard. So I ended up staying single basically from the beginning of the year until I ended 75 hard, which was in April.
Okay.
So
longest period.
Yeah.
Ever.
Longest period I've ever. I went from going the max of like 3 days single, and I went like 4 months single. Yes, okay. Like it was like the longest time. And I really was like, I'm going to focus on myself and I'm going to be a better person. Right.
Good.
I ended up meeting a girl who we've been together since May of the beginning of May is our official date, but we started talking in April. Her name's Lexi.
Okay.
I'm sure by the time this comes out, well, probably not. I will marry her. Like,
Okay.
We talked about it, and she's just been a light and a blessing. And I tell her the stories of the way I used to be, and she's just like, that's crazy because that's not who you are. Like, that's not who I know. Because she knew me post 75 hard
and post this church revelation and all this stuff.
And she's like, that's not you. And I'm like, I was not a good person. Like
in that regard, for sure.
In that regard, and it's not. I was a good person, but my actions weren't in line.
Yeah.
Right? And so, you know, what happened with the company I was with is part of 75 Hard was I pushed myself so hard in sales that I wanted to have a 6-figure month. I wanted to have $100,000 month. I'd never done it before. And only like a handful of people done it, like 6 people. And so I told, you know, at the beginning, I was like, one of the things I said, hey, I'm doing it this year is a 6-figure, $100,000 month, but I'm going to do it all remotely. Right. And 75 Hard just amped that up. And so I was literally like at the start of April, I was like, hey, this is the month. April, I'm doing 100,000. And the next day I was listening to a podcast, Andy, and I was doing my run, and I'm like day 45 by now. So like I'm in full stride.
Yeah.
And
but tired as fuck.
I don't know. I felt great. I was
physically, no. Okay.
Physically I was tired.
Yeah,
but like
that's what I
my
mean.
my legs hurt all the time, but I got so used to it. It didn't even bother me.
Got it.
But I was having this run, and I was listening to Andy, and I was like, you know what's been done before is 100,000. What hasn't been done before? 200,000. Could I do 200,000 in a month? I'd never even done 100. The most I'd done is 50,000. Like, could I do 200,000? And I start crunching the numbers as I'm like
working
going
backwards.
this run, and
Yeah,
I'm working. I'm literally backwards planning for the rest of the month, and the month had just started. So I'm like, I'm already going towards 100,000, and I'm like, fucking Christ,
let's just go.
I'm doing 200,000.
Yeah.
And I called my mentor, and I was like, dude, get this. I'm like on my run. I'm like, bro, I'm doing 200,000. He was just like, all right, bro. Hey, how many appointments do you need per week? And he was like jumping.
He's on
in.
it.
He's just
the momentum. Just go.
Let's go. So then I called.
Love it, dude.
Called my upline. I was like, hey, bro, I'm doing this. And he was like, you think you can? I was like, I fucking know I can. I was like, the gun's already been fired, bro.
Yeah.
Rounds going down range.
Yeah.
It's
no
already
stopping.
It's
no
already
stopping.
happened,
Yeah.
son. Like he was like, all right, let's go. So I ended up breaking the record for that company. And my point was like, I wanted to show people that you could do it all remotely. It was all good business, in that now it would like force them to start this remote sales program
that you're supposed to take over.
I was supposed to take over.
How much you do?
225,000 I sold.
Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, that is a huge point here. There's a huge point, which is, and I tell my team this all the time, swing for the fucking fences, bro.
Yeah.
Every single time at bat.
Yeah.
Even if you hit a single or you bunt the ball, whatever, or just make contact, it's okay. But you can only hit that home run if you put that effort and intent and that focus. It's just it's that extra to get that home run. And so if you never even think about it, you're always going to swing that half-ass swing.
The half-ass you're
just going
like
to make contact. Let me just make contact. Let me just make contact. Versus like, I'm going to crush the leather off the ball.
Yeah.
Right? And so, go Stros, by the way. Goal that has been not even many people have hit 100,000. You're just like, fuck it, I'm going to bypass that one and go straight to 200,000.
Yes.
That's bold.
Yeah.
Right? Fortune favors the bold.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you had this incredible confidence that you could.
Yeah, I was
no doubt. There was no doubt.
There was no doubt in my mind.
No doubt.
Zero doubt in my mind I was
that
doing
you're gonna
this.
hit it. And the other point was, it is the infectiousness of that.
Yeah.
Right? When you have this extreme confidence in yourself,
people start
noticing. They're like, hey, let me help them out.
Yeah.
Let me go help them achieve this.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of this.
Yeah.
Right? And then the last part is, I think through the 75 Hard process, you get this is mental endurance, but you get this mental clarity that you don't get elsewise. Maybe it's because you don't drink the booze or whatever, but
I think so.
You just have this clarity of like these ideas that you're connecting, these dots that you're connecting that otherwise you would not even remotely see a relationship in.
Yeah.
Right? Which is crazy good, bro. Congratulations. So then you bust out with this
I bust out
crazy record-breaking month.
And they brought me on a podcast, and when I get there, they're like, hey, can you tell everyone that you did some of this production in home and that you used these other leads? And I was like,
no.
And I ended up agreeing to it.
Why?
Because I was like, well, I'm just going to make them happy, and they're going to make me happy. Scratch their back,
and they're going to set you up in this department.
And then I realized that, like, there's something, because I'm also, like, on the high 75 Hard.
Yeah.
I realized, I'm like, dude, their whole podcast is a joke. They have everybody lie. If they're having me lie, they're having other people lie. So I started checking in on it, and I was like, dude, this is like propaganda. They're getting people to buy these leads, these garbage leads that they have. That's all they force. And and they're making money. They have to be making a shit ton of money. And now by this time, I knew how much money it takes to get leads.
Generate leads, because you're generating
because
your
I'm
leads.
generating my own.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and I know what it takes to generate good leads versus crap leads. And those are crap. Those are the crap of crap leads.
Yeah. Maybe resold, repackaged, all this stuff. Yeah. And yeah.
So I realized all this time, I think I'm with like the good guys. I'm with the bad guys. And it was like this revelation. And I was like, I don't think I can do this.
Man,
and
I think when you're retired on your yacht, bro, you're going to think of that period of your life as like the revelation period of your life, when it all just kind of came together.
And this is kind of like what you were just saying, where you kind of see all these different disparate parts and you have this clarity. I had that.
Yeah.
But it was about my current situation where I was working. I was like, I can't be here. I can't lie. I can no longer lie and say, hey, we're the best place for agents, because we're not.
You didn't believe it.
I didn't believe it anymore.
Yeah. And you can only sell talking about communication, you can only sell what you truly believe in,
What I truly believe in.
Because then people can read through some bullshit, body language, whatever, subconsciously, like, he doesn't believe what he's selling.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I had developed all the way up to now, I'd finally honed in on my sales process. My sales process was like near complete.
Like locked in.
I as duplicatable as trainable. I made videos. Scalable. And it's good.
Yeah.
And like you can use it in home, you can use it remotely, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
It's just great. It's locked in. And that was kind of the moment. I ended up meeting another person that was in a different IMO, which started
what is an
the
IMO
catapult.
for people who don't know?
IMO is an independent marketing organization used for insurance. And so we're just independently operating from all the insurance carriers. So I own an IMO, Delta Financial. I make relationships with different insurance carriers so that we can get
like
contracts.
State Farm, Allstate, all this stuff.
So State Farm and Allstate are so independent carriers.
Yeah.
So those are all captive carriers.
Got it.
Independent carriers like Mutual of Omaha.
Got it. Okay.
So I basically started a conversation with another person that was in another IMO that catapulted me into actually looking at becoming my own IMO. And through basically a year's process, I got to the point to where I ended up leaving from the like mid 2021, from like June 2021 to April 2020 or 2022. I started the process to create Delta Financial.
Okay, now.
And it really that was birthed from that 75 hard journey, from all the process that kind of led into that, from saying yes to everything and really doing podcasting, because I got really good at podcasting and I recruited a ton of people.
Speaker, yeah.
So
okay, now you start Delta Financial, and in 6 months you're 10 figures, man.
Yeah.
That's
eight figures.
I'm sorry, 8 figures. Talk to me how that started, the name, what it's about, what your values are, or like sort of what makes Delta Financial different, or good, or great. Let's say.
Great question.
Great, yeah.
Great question. So, one of the reasons that we were able to scale so quickly was because I'd made such a name for myself, and I had so much this contagious energy with my success when I was at the previous company, that when I left, everybody was like, why is he leaving? Like, the hell happened?
What's going on over there?
Like, he just broke. He's the record breaker. He's like the man. Like everyone. I was just a good person. Anyone reaches out to me, I always help them. And I wasn't that person like, oh well, you're not on my team, I can't help you. Like, never been that way. That's just not my personality.
Give first, get more.
Yeah, exactly. And so, so when I left, like 2,000 agents followed me. Now, out of those 2,000.
How many? Yeah.
1,500 never done anything, and they still didn't do anything. So, but a bunch of people, and more left, more started to follow. So I had so many people follow me, and to an intermediary company that I used as a launching pad, kind of as to Delta Financial. Not really, but I mean, just to keep the story short, it was a launching pad. It essentially wasn't meant to be; it just happened that way. And so, when we started Delta Financial, I was trying to think of a name. And that mentor I've talked about, his name's Mitch. I mentioned him in episode 26. The mentor that I mentioned, he always used to joke, and I used to tease him all the time because he uses the word Delta as the word change. And he said, hey, what's the Delta between this and this? And I was like, dude, why don't you just say the difference, bro? Why don't you talk like your normal human being, bro?
So I guess kind of a military expression, kind of a mathematical expression.
Yes.
So to kind of simplify it, if 10 minus 3 equals 7, the 3 would be called the delta, the difference.
The 7. The 7 would be the delta.
Delta. I'm sorry.
The 7 would be the delta.
Yeah. Okay. The difference.
The difference.
Or the change.
And so.
And Mitch is a military guy, right?
He's a military guy.
Ex-military.
He's still military.
Still military.
He's still military. But he helped. He is his DNA and like his structure and his leadership, organizational skills very much are in the DNA of Delta.
Got it.
And he's helped me kind of create this since 2019 when we first had the first thought. And so this actually started in 2019 at the end of it when we wanted to start helping agents with better training. And it was like training is the key, like good training is the key, because there's such a revolving door of people like not succeeding or leaving the industry. You had to recruit 100 people to get 5 writers. And I was like, well, why don't I just recruit 5 writers and get 5 writers, right? Why don't I have a process that weeds out those 95? And so we had this expression called 100% of the 5. And it started from there. And we started developing these processes over the time. And that's the background of why Delta existed, is because I wanted to create a system where we would have all the tools, all the teaching, all the training, that if you get through the training, if you get through and you're not weeded out, you will write business. You'll be successful.
That's crazy good, dude. So leaders create processes.
Yes.
Right? To help others learn and become their own, quote, leader.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then secondly, the only way to massively grow is scale through process.
Through processes and systems.
And repeatable processes and systems. Awesome, bro. Okay. Delta Financial. Well, the other point, very important, is that you might have this great idea to start a business, but don't just cut all ties and start that business, right? You planted that seed, kind of let it, spawn a little bit before it actually breaks the ground and you actually see the business.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you crank up Delta Financial. The difference, Mitch, is like always be the.
No, that was my thing. Is I wanted to be a difference. I wanted to be the difference in the industry, where all the industry is doing one thing, where they're massively recruiting and their systems and processes really suck, and there's
buying
no leadership.
Shitty leads.
Like I used to tell the first company that I was at, before I realized I'm like, oh man, I'm in the wrong team. I used to tell them, like, we need better leadership. We need leadership training. We should do leadership summits, stuff like that. And they laughed at me, bro. They laughed at me. They're like, oh, it's stupid.
That's a surprising perspective from a pretty good sized company. That's crazy, because you got to have leaders in an organization, right?
And they were like, oh, we already got leaders. It's like, dude, I'm sorry, but no one here is a real leader.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are managers. Managers focus on metrics, on performance. Leaders draw potential.
Yes.
Very simple.
And inspire.
You guys are only focused on getting more production. Those are metrics. That's performance. That has nothing to do with pulling out someone's potential and taking them to the next level. Right? Yes. So, anywho, I had this idea, like, I want to be the difference in an industry that's kind of stale and old, and everyone's doing the same old thing. And the difference kind of stuck in my head, and that made me think of Delta. And I was like, Delta Force, Delta Financial. This works. I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Delta symbol with a break on the top with an upward arrow means that you're open to change for upward growth or upward mobility.
That's awesome.
And so that's what that's.
So
that's
Delta, the triangle. So so the logo is a triangle, but with an open.
It's open.
Like a little gap.
It's got a little gap, and then there's like a little upward arrow that comes along the side.
Be the change for growth. That's awesome, man.
For upward growth.
That's awesome. All created by you.
Yeah.
That's good, dude. I like that. That's fire. So Delta Financial, 8 figures. Where does it go from here? Like, so what are the values that are representative by Delta, and then where is it going from here?
I truly believe in making people better people, not better salespeople, not better producers, but better people in all areas of your life. And looking at like kind of almost like a performance triad, or even like the comprehensive fitness, your physical, your mental, your emotional, your social, your spiritual. Because if I can get you to focus on all areas, if I can get you to increase all areas, you will massively succeed in your business, and you'll be happier. You'll be happier in your life. You'll be happier professionally. And then it's like the rising tide raises all ships.
Yeah.
And so I believe in making people better people.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm trying to do is actually be in an industry with people. There's a lot of broken people, and I was a broken person too. So I know what it's like to be there.
Yeah.
And I just hope that I can inspire these agents through the road that I had to travel and the things that I went through, that I can help them. Like I have 75 Hard is a big part of my company. I have a lot of agents doing it because I inspired them to do it. And so, I have 170 agents across the nation, and I got like 40 of them that either started or have finished 75 Hard.
That's incredible, man.
So
literally being the difference, which is your slogan, right?
Yeah,
to be the difference.
To be the difference. And so, we have a lot of core values, and all of them are altruistic. They're just like, hey, being more positive, being humble, being transparent, having good work-life balance, going the extra mile, being a person of your word, holding true to your word. Accountability. Serving others without expectation of reciprocity. And just overall being a better person.
Yeah.
And so,
no wonder you're wildly successful, man, for a company that was started.
It just started
to go.
6 months.
6 months. Yeah.
And so,
how do you fail with those kind of values and principles? You can't.
It's
tough. And you obviously got to put in the work, but
you got to put in the work.
But still, I find that high value people abide by those values and will put in the work.
Yeah.
Right. You by nature, your value systems will weed out those people that aren't willing to put in that work.
We call it self-selection.
Right? Self-selection, exactly.
They will self-select, like, this isn't for me. These guys are too high caliber, and they'll just be like, deuces.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, but that applies in everywhere.
There's
that's fine.
Nothing wrong with that.
You're actually saving me money, training you for something you're ill-equipped to accept anyways.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. So that's crazy good. Where do you see it? So real quick, man. Obviously, you're in the financial services business. It's, kind of an economically weird time, inflation, who knows where the economy's going, election year here, election year in 2 more years. Where for people having a tough time just putting gas in their tank, food on their table because prices are out of control, sort of any advice, not formal financial advice, but your perspective and, things they can do to help themselves in that regard.
So right now, and this has been really for the past 2 to 5 years, we've had the largest percentage of America has a side hustle. Okay. So you have like your 9 to 5, and then you have a side hustle that you're maybe selling on Etsy or some shit like that. Right.
Yeah.
This is what I would recommend is, even if you're not looking at being an entrepreneur or having a side hustle, or doing a secondary job or whatever it is, you need to do 75 Hard. You need to be personally excellent in everything that you do. It's going to raise your standards because it's going to give you the skills necessary that when the tough times come, especially in your business, you're going to stand out across the crowd. You're going to be the one that's going to be still able to get promotions, even in an economic downturn. You're going to be the one that if you're not getting the promotions, you're going to find another way where you can get that second job. You can have the courage and the confidence in yourself that you can go out and you can do something else, because I'm telling you, hard times are coming.
Yeah, they're definitely coming.
They're coming, and it's going to be bad. And if you're not well equipped, and the best way you can equip yourself is just by being undeniably great personally, that's the best thing that you can do. And 75 Hard, it's 75 days. Worst case scenario, right? I promise you at the end of 75 days, you're going to be a better person, be a different human being. But let's say at the end of 75 days, you're like, I feel the same. You're not going to feel worse. You're not going to be like, I'm worse.
What do you have to lose?
Yeah. What do you have to lose?
You have absolutely nothing to lose.
And nothing.
Embarrassment? No.
Yeah.
No. And I like to say that if you've done it, you've done something that, I don't know what the numbers are, but like 99% of the people in this world are unable or unwilling to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so that mental clarity and toughness will help get you through some tough economic times.
Absolutely.
That are definitely coming.
And you have to be prepared. And whether that's economically, whether that's financially and getting a second job, or whether that's being resourceful and starting learning skills like hunting, canning, building a well, whatever it is. If you get some land and you can go build a well and you can get off the reservation, I'm telling you, being self-sufficient right now is going to be massively more important than anything else that you can do.
Yeah. And that's not to say the sky's going to fall, because as humans, we're resilient, but to be resilient, you may
be prepared.
You have to be prepared, and you may have to get through some tough times. All of us.
Yeah.
All of us. If it gets worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Man, last words, bro. There's a lot to. This got to be a great episode. Both episodes, 26 in this one, whatever number this is. But like, man, anything you would change? Anything that you wish you had done differently?
So, that I wish I'd done differently. Honestly, yeah, I made a lot of mistakes with different people that I hurt. That I wish I had not. That just wasn't me. And I wish I could go back and I could change some of those things, but ultimately it's led me to this point now.
I was about to say
that I realize that's the thing about greatness, or even having good times, right? The only reason that they're good is because you have the bad times to compare them to.
That's correct.
If it's always good, you don't know it's good because you have nothing to compare it to. So the only reason that I know that I'm at a higher level of greatness is because I know what rock bottom feels like. I have that comparison.
yeah, it's relative. Einstein's right. Relativity, man.
So it's 100% relative. And for last words, I'll tell a quick story. I'll be quick.
Yeah.
When I broke up when the ex-fiance and I broke up, and I was still in that 9-to-5 job, there was this guy that I started working with, and him and I we did training together, and she came to see me to get something. She went to go get the keys because all of her stuff was still in my house, and I gave her a key so that she could get in and she could get some stuff, and it just made it fucked with me. Like I was just like, after lunch, and I was like, I couldn't focus, and I was just like, I gotta get out of here. Like I have to go home. And it was like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And I didn't want to sit at that desk for another 3 hours just staring at it or calling random clients. And so I was talking to this guy, and I was like, he went outside for a smoke break. I was like, bro, I can't be here. Like I can't even focus. Like I'm about to just have an emotional breakdown. And he was like, it's all right, man. I'll tell them that something came up and that she had to leave. And so I left, and I was walking to my car, and I was like, literally like tears were forming in my eyes as I was walking to the car. Got in the car, and he had texted me something. And he was like, hey bro, I just want to let you know, the night is always darkest before the dawn. Mm-hmm. He was like, the dawn's coming, bro. You're going to get through it. And I was just like, I just broke down. I was like, you're so right. And I drove home crying, and it was the last day that I cried. It was the last day that I cried for her. And I don't care what hole you're in. I don't care how deep you are, how rock bottom you are. Change is inevitable. And as long as you always focus on trying to improve yourself, the day is coming, and you can always achieve another level of greatness.
That's awesome, bro.
So
what a great story, man. Such an inspiring story, bro. I appreciate you coming into town and
definitely.
Being literally exposed on the show. There's so much inspiration in your story, bro. And, relatively speaking, you and I are young guys.
Yeah.
And there's a whole life of leadership, success, whatever's in store for us. I wish you the best, bro. You're always welcome back when you're in town.
Man.
Come on back to the podcast. Let us know how it's going. We can talk about your life, my life, what's going on in the world, whatever.
I want to get Lexi on here. So we can talk about what
Lexi,
it's been a whirlwind. Since her and I started getting together and we created Delta. It's been
and she is part of your business, right?
She is part of my business.
She runs the social.
She runs all the social media content. She does. She does all of our.
How is it working with your significant other? That professional, personal.
Dude, it's actually been fun. It was a little bit of a challenge, but it's been fun. I'm really good at delineating between personal and professional.
Yeah. How does she handle it?
She does not handle it so well, but now I got to be like, hey, this is work, Greg.
Yeah.
This is work, Greg. Hey, I need you to do X, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I would just be like, hey, I need you to do boom, boom, boom. And she is like, don't tell me what to do. And I'm like,
and don't talk to me like that.
I'm like, I employ you.
I cut your checks. Like, do what I tell you to do. When we get home, I'm not supposed to tell you what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Would love to have both of y'all on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
Entrepreneurs, how she views you. All that stuff, man. But you're always welcome back on the show. I'm looking forward to getting on your show.
Definitely, man. We're going to have that happen.
For those out there, how do they find you, your business, and anything you're into? Your podcast?
Yeah. So my podcast is on the Delta Financial channel. You can find it. It's called Be the Difference Podcast. As you probably figured, it's on YouTube. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. You just type in Be the Difference Podcast, or you can type in Delta Financial on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. I'm Gregory A. Birch _ and
Birch, B-I-R-C-H.
B-I-R-C-H. You can't miss me in this tall, ugly mug. And then you can find me on Facebook as well, but I'm like maxed out on friends, but you can follow me there if you like, because I'm a business profile. So that's just Greg Birch is my profile. It's opened up. Best place if you want to reach out to me or talk to me, have questions, is Instagram. I'm really active on Instagram, so you can follow me there or ask questions.
Definitely follow him. Definitely follow Delta Financial. Man, congratulations on the wild success, bro.
I appreciate it.
Wonderful, great story. So inspirational. There's so many things that I think anybody listening to this podcast can pick up on and have inspired or added value to their lives, man. Once again, I appreciate you, bro. Thank you for coming.
It's my pleasure, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Captain America, 11-year Army vet, 2-time Bronze Award winner, kick-ass, badass dude. He's been through some shit, but it's so good to have met him. Check him out. Definitely follow him. You're going to learn. And you put out a daily podcast, like a little reel or something every day, like your sales.
Yeah, I put a sales leadership mindset tactics on
Yeah.
reels on my Instagram and on my TikTok. And then I also do a podcast, which is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, which is different formats for each day.
Definitely. You're going to learn. I guarantee you're going to learn something by following Greg. Once again, if you have any questions that you want me to address on the podcast, maybe I'll throw them out to Greg too.
Yeah.
Ask at the_2podcast.com. If you like what you heard today, any of my other episodes, please do like, comment, follow, share. Spread the news. We want to grow our audience and let people know about fabulous, fantastic entrepreneurs and great individuals just like Greg, man. Captain America. Looking forward to bringing you another episode soon. Thanks for tuning in.